Exodus Chapter 1. Now these are the names of Israel's sons who came into Egypt with Jacob. Each man and his household came: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls who issued out of Jacob's upper thigh came to be 70 souls, but Joseph was already in Egypt. Eventually Joseph died, and also all his brothers, and all that generation. And the sons of Israel became fruitful and began to swarm, and they kept on multiplying and growing mightier at a very extraordinary rate, so that the land got to be filled with them. In time there arose over Egypt a new king who did not know Joseph. And he proceeded to say to his people, "Look, the people of the sons of Israel are more numerous and mightier than we are. Come on, let us deal shrewdly with them, for fear they may multiply, and it must turn out that in case war should befall us, then they certainly will also be added to those who hate us, and will fight against us, and go up out of the country." So they set over them chiefs of forced labor, for the purpose of oppressing them in their burden-bearing. And they went building cities as storage places for Pharaoh, namely Pithom and Ramses. But the more they would oppress them, the more they would multiply, and the more they kept spreading abroad, so that they felt a sickening dread as a result of the sons of Israel. Consequently, the Egyptians made the sons of Israel slave under tyranny. And they kept making their life bitter with hard slavery at clay mortar and bricks, and with every form of slavery in the field, yes, every form of slavery of theirs in which they used them as slaves under tyranny. Later on, the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, the name of one of whom was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. Yes, he went so far as to say, "When you help the Hebrew women to give birth, and you do see them on the stool for childbirth, if it is a son, you must also put it to death. But if it is a daughter, it must also live." However, the midwives feared the true God, and they did not do as the king of Egypt had spoken to them, but they would preserve the male children alive. In time, the king of Egypt called the midwives and said to them, "Why is it you have done this thing, in that you preserve the male children alive?" In turn, the midwives said to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. Because they are lively, they have already given birth before the midwife can come into them." So God dealt well with the midwives, and the people kept growing more numerous and becoming very mighty. And it came about that because the midwives had feared the true God, he later presented them with families. Finally Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, "Every newborn son you are to throw into the river Nile, but every daughter you are to preserve alive." Chapter 2. Meantime, a certain man of the house of Levi went ahead and took a daughter of Levi, and the woman became pregnant and brought a son to birth. When she saw how good-looking he was, she kept him concealed for 3 lunar months. When she was no longer able to conceal him, she then took for him an ark of papyrus, and coated it with bitumen and pitch, and put the child in it, and put it among the reeds by the bank of the river Nile. Further, his sister stationed herself at a distance to find out what would be done with him. After a while, Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the Nile River, and her female attendants were walking by the side of the Nile River, and she caught sight of the ark in the middle of the reeds. Immediately she sent her slave girl that she might get it. When she opened it, she got to see the child, and here the boy was weeping. At that, she felt compassion for him, although she said, "This is one of the children of the Hebrews." Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and specially call for you a nursing woman from the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for you?" So Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." At once the maiden went and called the child's mother. Pharaoh's daughter then said to her, "Take this child with you and nurse him for me, and I myself shall give you your wages." Accordingly, the woman took the child and nursed him. And the child grew up. Then she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, so that he became a son to her, and she proceeded to call his name Moses, and to say, "It is because I have drawn him out of the water." Now it came about in those days, as Moses was becoming strong, that he went out to his brothers that he might look at the burdens they were bearing. And he caught sight of a certain Egyptian striking a certain Hebrew of his brothers. So he turned this way and that, and saw there was nobody in sight. Then he struck the Egyptian down and hid him in the sand. However, he went out on the following day, and here there were 2 Hebrew men struggling with each other. So he said to the one in the wrong, "Why should you strike your companion?" At this he said, "Who appointed you as a prince and judge over us? Are you intending to kill me just as you killed the Egyptian?" Moses now got afraid and said, "Surely the thing has become known." Subsequently, Pharaoh got to hear of this thing, and he attempted to kill Moses. But Moses ran away from Pharaoh that he might dwell in the land of Midian, and he took a seat by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and as usual they came and drew water and filled the gutters to water their father's flock. And as usual the shepherds came and drove them away. At this Moses got up and helped the women out, and watered their flock. So when they came home to Reuel their father, he exclaimed, "How is it you have come home so quickly today?" To this they said, "A certain Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and besides, he actually drew water for us that he might water the flock." Then he said to his daughters, "But where is he? Why is it that you have left the man behind? Call him that he may eat bread." After that Moses showed willingness to dwell with the man, and he gave Zipporah his daughter to Moses. Later she bore a son, and he called his name Gershom, because he said, "An alien resident I have come to be in a foreign land." And it came about during those many days that the king of Egypt finally died. But the sons of Israel continued to sigh because of the slavery, and to cry out in complaint, and their cry for help kept going up to the true God because of the slavery. In time God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So God looked on the sons of Israel, and God took notice. Chapter 3. And Moses became a shepherd of the flock of Jethro, the priest of Midian, whose son-in-law he was. While he was driving the flock to the west side of the wilderness, he came at length to the mountain of the true God, to Horeb. Then Jehovah's angel appeared to him in a flame of fire in the midst of a thorn bush. As he kept looking, why, here the thorn bush was burning with the fire, and yet the thorn bush was not consumed. At this Moses said, "Let me just turn aside, that I may inspect this great phenomenon, as to why the thorn bush is not burnt up." When Jehovah saw that he turned aside to inspect, God at once called to him out of the midst of the thorn bush, and said, "Moses, Moses." To which he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Do not come near here. Draw your sandals from off your feet, because the place where you are standing is holy ground." And he went on to say, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Then Moses concealed his face, because he was afraid to look at the true God. And Jehovah added, Unquestionably I have seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their outcry as a result of those who drive them to work, because I well know the pains they suffer, and I am proceeding to go down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land, to a land good and spacious, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the locality of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. And now, look, the outcry of the sons of Israel has come to me, and I have seen also the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. And now come, and let me send you to Pharaoh, and you bring my people the sons of Israel out of Egypt. However, Moses said to the true God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I have to bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt? To this he said, Because I shall prove to be with you, and this is the sign for you that it is I who have sent you. After you have brought the people out of Egypt, you people will serve the true God on this mountain. Nevertheless, Moses said to the true God, Suppose I am now come to the sons of Israel, and I do say to them, The God of your forefathers has sent me to you, and they do say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? At this God said to Moses, I shall prove to be what I shall prove to be. And he added, This is what you are to say to the sons of Israel, I shall prove to be has sent me to you. Then God said once more to Moses, This is what you are to say to the sons of Israel. Jehovah, the God of your forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name to time indefinite, and this is the memorial of me to generation after generation. You go, and you must gather the older men of Israel, and you must say to them, Jehovah the God of your forefathers has appeared to me, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will without fail give attention to you, and to what is being done to you in Egypt. And so I say, I shall bring you up out of affliction by the Egyptians, to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will certainly listen to your voice, and you must come, you and the older men of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you men must say to him, Jehovah, the God of the Hebrews, has come in touch with us, and now we want to go, please, a journey of 3 days into the wilderness, and we want to sacrifice to Jehovah our God. And I, even I, well know that the king of Egypt will not give you permission to go except by a strong hand. And I shall have to stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonderful acts that I shall do in the midst of it. And after that, he will send you out. And I will give this people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, and it will certainly occur that when you go, you will not go empty-handed. And each woman must ask from her neighbor and from the woman residing as an alien in her house articles of silver and articles of gold and mantles, and you must put them upon your sons and your daughters, and you must strip the Egyptians. Chapter 4. However, Moses in answering said, But suppose they do not believe me, and do not listen to my voice, because they are going to say, Jehovah did not appear to you. Then Jehovah said to him, What is that in your hand? To which he said, A rod. Next he said, Throw it on the earth. So he threw it on the earth, and it became a serpent, and Moses began to flee from it. Jehovah now said to Moses, "Thrust your hand out and grab hold of it by the tail." So he thrust his hand out and grabbed hold of it, and it became a rod in his palm. "In order that," to quote him, "they may believe that Jehovah the God of their forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." Then Jehovah said to him once more, "Stick your hand, please, into the upper fold of your garment." So he stuck his hand into the upper fold of his garment. When he drew it out, why, here his hand was stricken with leprosy like snow. After that he said, "Return your hand into the upper fold of your garment." So he returned his hand into the upper fold of his garment. When he drew it out of the upper fold of his garment, why, here it was restored like the rest of his flesh. "And it must occur that," to quote him, "if they will not believe you, and will not listen to the voice of the first sign, then they will certainly believe the voice of the later sign. Still, it must occur that if they will not believe even these two signs, and will not listen to your voice, then you will have to take some water from the Nile River and pour it out on the dry land, and the water that you will take from the Nile River will certainly become, yes, it will indeed become blood on the dry land." Moses now said to Jehovah, "Excuse me, Jehovah, but I am not a fluent speaker, neither since yesterday nor since before that, nor since your speaking to your servant, for I am slow of mouth and slow of tongue." At that Jehovah said to him, "Who appointed a mouth for man? Or who appoints the speechless, or the deaf, or the clear-sighted, or the blind? Is it not I, Jehovah? So now go, and I myself shall prove to be with your mouth, and I will teach you what you ought to say." But he said, "Excuse me, Jehovah, but send, please, by the hand of the one whom you are going to send." Then Jehovah's anger grew hot against Moses, and he said, "Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I do know that he can really speak. And besides, here he is on his way out to meet you. When he does see you, he will certainly rejoice in his heart. And you must speak to him, and put the words in his mouth, and I myself shall prove to be with your mouth and his mouth, and I will teach you men what you are to do. And he must speak for you to the people, and it must occur that he will serve as a mouth to you, and you will serve as God to him. And this rod you will take in your hand, that you may perform the signs with it." Accordingly Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said to him, "I want to go, please, and return to my brothers who are in Egypt, that I may see whether they are still alive." So Jethro said to Moses, "Go in peace." After that Jehovah said to Moses in Midian, "Go, return to Egypt, because all the men who were hunting for your soul are dead." Then Moses took his wife and his sons, and made them ride on an ass, and he proceeded to return to the land of Egypt. Moreover, Moses took the rod of the true God in his hand. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "After you have gone and returned to Egypt, see that you men actually perform all the miracles that I have put in your hand before Pharaoh. As for me, I shall let his heart become obstinate, and he will not send the people away. And you must say to Pharaoh, 'This is what Jehovah has said. Israel is my son, my firstborn. And I say to you, send my son away, that he may serve me. But should you refuse to send him away, here I am killing your son, your firstborn.'" Now it came about on the road at the lodging place that Jehovah got to meet him, and and kept looking for a way to put him to death. Finally Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin, and caused it to touch his feet, and said, "It is because you are a bridegroom of blood to me." Consequently he let go of him. At that time she said, "A bridegroom of blood," because of the circumcision. Then Jehovah said to Aaron, "Go to meet Moses into the wilderness." With that he went, and met him in the mountain of the true God, and kissed him. And Moses proceeded to tell Aaron all the words of Jehovah, who had sent him, and all the signs that he had commanded him to do. After that, Moses and Aaron went and gathered all the older men of the sons of Israel. Then Aaron spoke all the words that Jehovah had spoken to Moses, and he performed the signs under the eyes of the people. At this the people believed. When they heard that Jehovah had turned his attention to the sons of Israel, and that he had seen their affliction, then they bowed down and prostrated themselves. Chapter 5. And afterward Moses and Aaron went in, and proceeded to say to Pharaoh, "This is what Jehovah the God of Israel has said. Send my people away, that they may celebrate a festival to me in the wilderness." But Pharaoh said, "Who is Jehovah, so that I should obey his voice to send Israel away? I do not know Jehovah at all, and what is more, I am not going to send Israel away." However, they went on to say, "The God of the Hebrews has come in touch with us. We want to go, please, a journey of 3 days into the wilderness, and sacrifice to Jehovah our God. Otherwise, he may strike at us with pestilence or with sword." At this the king of Egypt said to them, "Why is it, Moses and Aaron, that you cause the people to leave off from their works? Go bearing your burdens." And Pharaoh continued, "Look, the people of the land are now many, and you indeed make them desist from their bearing of burdens." Immediately on that day, Pharaoh commanded those who drove the people to work and their officers, saying, "You must not gather straw to give to the people to make bricks as formerly. Let them themselves go and gather straw for themselves. Moreover, the required amount of bricks that they were making formerly, you will further impose upon them. You must not make any reduction for them, because they are relaxing. That is why they are crying out, saying, 'We want to go. We want to sacrifice to our God.' Let the service be heavy upon the men, and let them work at it, and let them not pay attention to false words." So those who drove the people to work and their officers went out and said to the people, "Here is what Pharaoh has said. I am giving you no more straw. You yourselves go. Get straw for yourselves wherever you may find it, because there is to be no reducing of your services one bit." Consequently the people scattered about over all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. And those who drove them to work kept urging them, saying, "Finish your works, each one his work, day for day, just as when straw was available." Later on, the officers of the sons of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten, these saying, "Why is it you did not finish your prescribed task in making bricks as formerly, both yesterday and today?" Consequently, the officers of the sons of Israel went in and began to cry out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why do you deal this way with your servants? There is no straw given to your servants, and yet they are saying to us, 'Make bricks,' and here your servants are beaten, whereas your own people are at fault." But he said, "You are relaxing. You are relaxing. That is why you are saying, 'We want to go. We want to sacrifice to Jehovah.' And now go, serve, though no straw will be given to you. yet you are to give the fixed amount of bricks." Then the officers of the sons of Israel saw themselves in an evil plight at the saying, "You must not deduct from your bricks 1 bit of anyone's daily rate." After that they encountered Moses and Aaron, who were standing there to meet them as they came out from Pharaoh. At once they said to them, "May Jehovah look upon you and judge, since you have made us smell offensive before Pharaoh and before his servants, so as to put a sword in their hand to kill us." Then Moses turned to Jehovah and said, "Jehovah, why have you caused evil to this people? Why is it that you have sent me? For from the time that I went in before Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have by no means delivered your people." Chapter 6. So Jehovah said to Moses, "Now you will see what I shall do to Pharaoh, because on account of a strong hand he will send them away, and on account of a strong hand he will drive them out of his land." And God went on to speak to Moses and to say to him, "I am Jehovah, and I used to appear to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty, but as respects my name Jehovah, I did not make myself known to them. And I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their alien residences in which they resided as aliens. And I, even I, have heard the groaning of the sons of Israel, whom the Egyptians are enslaving, and I remember my covenant. Therefore say to the sons of Israel, I am Jehovah, and I shall certainly bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and deliver you from their slavery. And I shall indeed reclaim you with an outstretched arm, and with great judgments. And I shall certainly take you to me as a people, and I shall indeed prove to be God to you. And you will certainly know that I am Jehovah your God, who is bringing you out from under the burdens of Egypt. And I shall certainly bring you into the land that I raised my hand in oath to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I shall indeed give it to you as something to possess. I am Jehovah." Afterward Moses spoke to this effect to the sons of Israel, but they did not listen to Moses out of discouragement and for the hard slavery. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, "Go in, speak to Pharaoh, Egypt's king, that he should send the sons of Israel away out of his land." However, Moses spoke before Jehovah, saying, "Look, the sons of Israel have not listened to me, and how will Pharaoh ever listen to me, as I am uncircumcised in lips?" But Jehovah continued to speak to Moses and Aaron, and to issue the command by them to the sons of Israel, and to Pharaoh, Egypt's king, in order to bring the sons of Israel out from the land of Egypt. These are the heads of the house of their fathers. The sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, were Hanok and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon were Jemuel, and Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin, and Zohar, and Sheal, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their family descents: Gershon, and Kohath, and Merari. And the years of Levi's life were 137 years. The sons of Gershon were Libni and Shimei, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath were Amram, and Ishar, and Hebron, and Uzziel. And the years of Kohath's life were 133 years. And the sons of Merari were Mahli and Mushai. These were the families of the Levites, according to their family descents. Now Amram took Jochebed his father's sister as his wife. Later she bore him Aaron and Moses. And the years of Amram's life were 137 years. And the sons of Ishar were Korah, and Nepheg, and Zichri. And the sons of Uzziel were Mishael, and Elzaphan, and Sithri. Now Aaron took Elisheba, Amminadab's daughter, the sister of Nahshon, as his wife. Later she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah were Asir and Elkanah and Abiasaph. These were the families of the Korahites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Putiel as his wife. Later she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers of the Levites according to their families. This is the Aaron and Moses to whom Jehovah said, Bring the sons of Israel out from the land of Egypt according to their armies. They were the ones speaking to Pharaoh, Egypt's king, to bring the sons of Israel out from Egypt. This is the Moses and Aaron. And it came about on the day that Jehovah spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, that Jehovah went on to speak to Moses, saying, I am Jehovah. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I am speaking to you. Then Moses said before Jehovah, Look, I am uncircumcised in lips. So how will Pharaoh ever listen to me? Chapter 7. Consequently Jehovah said to Moses, See, I have made you God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your own brother will become your prophet. You will speak all that I shall command you, and Aaron your brother will do the speaking to Pharaoh, and he must send the sons of Israel away from his land. As for me, I shall let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, and I shall certainly multiply my signs and my miracles in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh will not listen to you men, and I shall have to lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring my armies, my people, the sons of Israel, out from the land of Egypt with great judgments. And the Egyptians will certainly know that I am Jehovah, when I stretch out my hand against Egypt, and I shall indeed bring the sons of Israel out from their midst. And Moses and Aaron went ahead doing as Jehovah had commanded them. They did just so. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83 years old at the time of their speaking to Pharaoh. Jehovah now said to Moses and Aaron, In case that Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, Produce a miracle for yourselves, then you must say to Aaron, Take your rod and throw it down before Pharaoh. It will become a big snake. So Moses and Aaron went on in to Pharaoh, and did exactly as Jehovah had commanded. Accordingly, Aaron threw his rod down before Pharaoh and his servants, and it became a big snake. However, Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers, and the magic-practicing priests of Egypt themselves also proceeded to do the same thing with their magic arts. So they threw down each one his rod, and they became big snakes. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Still, Pharaoh's heart became obstinate, and he did not listen to them, just as Jehovah had spoken. Then Jehovah said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is unresponsive. He has refused to send the people away. Go to Pharaoh in the morning. Look, he is going out to the water, and you must put yourself in position to meet him by the edge of the Nile River, and the rod that turned into a serpent you are to take in your hand. And you must say to him, Jehovah, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, Send my people away, that they may serve me in the wilderness. But here you have not obeyed until now. This is what Jehovah has said. By this you will know that I am Jehovah. Here I am striking with the rod that is in my hand upon the water that is in the Nile River, and it will certainly turn into blood. and the fish that are in the Nile River will die, and the Nile River will actually stink, and the Egyptians will simply have no stomach for drinking water from the Nile River." Subsequently, Jehovah said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, 'Take your rod and stretch your hand out over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their Nile canals, and over their reedy pools, and over all their impounded waters, that they may become blood. And there will certainly be blood in all the land of Egypt, and in the wooden vessels, and in the stone vessels." Immediately Moses and Aaron did so, just as Jehovah had commanded. And he lifted up the rod, and struck the water that was in the Nile River under the eyes of Pharaoh and his servants, and all the water that was in the Nile River was turned into blood. And the fish that were in the Nile River died, and the Nile River began to stink, and the Egyptians were unable to drink water from the Nile River, and the blood came to be in all the land of Egypt. Nevertheless, the magic-practicing priests of Egypt proceeded to do the same thing with their secret arts, so that Pharaoh's heart continued to be obstinate, and he did not listen to them, just as Jehovah had spoken. Hence Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and he did not set his heart to have any regard for this either. And all the Egyptians went digging round about the Nile River for water to drink, because they were unable to drink any water of the Nile River. And 7 days came to be fulfilled after Jehovah striking the Nile River. Chapter 8. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh, and you must say to him, 'This is what Jehovah has said. Send my people away that they may serve me. And if you keep refusing to send them away, here I am plaguing all your territory with frogs. And the Nile River will fairly teem with frogs, and they will certainly come up and enter into your house, and your inner bedroom, and upon your couch, and into the house of your servants, and on your people, and into your ovens, and into your kneading troughs. And on you and on your people, and on all your servants the frogs will come up." Later on Jehovah said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, 'Stretch your hand with your rod out over the rivers, the Nile canals, and the reedy pools, and make the frogs come up over the land of Egypt.'" At that Aaron stretched his hand out over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs began to come up and to cover the land of Egypt. However, the magic-practicing priests did the same thing by their secret arts, and made the frogs come up over the land of Egypt. In time Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, "Entreat Jehovah that he may remove the frogs from me and my people, as I want to send the people away that they may sacrifice to Jehovah." Then Moses said to Pharaoh, "You take the glory over me to say when I shall make entreaty for you and your servants and your people, in order to cut the frogs off from you and your houses. Only in the Nile River will they be left." To this he said, "Tomorrow." So he said, "It will be according to your word, in order that you may know that there is no one else like Jehovah our God, in that the frogs will certainly turn away from you and your houses and your servants and your people. Only in the Nile River will they be left." Accordingly Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to Jehovah because of the frogs that he had put upon Pharaoh. Then Jehovah did according to Moses' word, and the frogs began to die off from the houses, the courtyards, and the fields. And they went piling them up, heaps upon heaps, and the land began to stink. When Pharaoh got to see that relief had taken place, he made his heart unresponsive, and he did not listen to them, just as Jehovah had spoken. Jehovah now said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch your rod out and strike the dust of the earth, and it must become gnats in all the land of Egypt." And they proceeded to do this. So Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and struck the dust of the earth, and the gnats came to be on man and beast. All the dust of the earth became gnats in all the land of Egypt. And the magic-practicing priests tried to do the same by their secret arts in order to bring forth gnats, but they were unable. And the gnats came to be on man and beast. Hence the magic-practicing priests said to Pharaoh, "It is the finger of God." But Pharaoh's heart continued to be obstinate, and he did not listen to them, just as Jehovah had spoken. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and take a position in front of Pharaoh. Look, he is coming out to the water, and you must say to him, 'This is what Jehovah has said. Send my people away that they may serve me. But if you are not sending my people away, here I am sending upon you and your servants and your people, and into your houses, the gadfly. And the houses of Egypt will simply be full of the gadfly, and also the ground upon which they are. And on that day I shall certainly make the land of Goshen, upon which my people are standing, distinct, that no gadfly may exist there, in order that you may know that I am Jehovah in the midst of the earth. And I shall indeed set a demarcation between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign will take place." And Jehovah proceeded to do so, and heavy swarms of gadflies began to invade the house of Pharaoh and the houses of his servants and all the land of Egypt. The land came to ruin as a result of the gadflies. Finally Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, "Go, sacrifice to your God in the land." But Moses said, "It is not admissible to do so, because we would sacrifice to Jehovah our God a thing detestable to the Egyptians. Suppose we would sacrifice a thing detestable to the Egyptians before their eyes. Would they not stone us? We shall go a journey of 3 days into the wilderness, and we shall definitely sacrifice to Jehovah our God, just as he has said to us." Pharaoh now said, I shall send you away, and you will indeed sacrifice to Jehovah your God in the wilderness. Only do not make it quite so far away that you are going. Make entreaty in my behalf." Then Moses said, "Here I am going forth from you, and I shall indeed make entreaty to Jehovah, and the gadflies will certainly turn away from Pharaoh, his servants and his people, tomorrow. Only let not Pharaoh trifle again in not sending the people away to sacrifice to Jehovah." After that, Moses went out from Pharaoh and made entreaty to Jehovah. So Jehovah did according to Moses' word, and the gadflies turned away from Pharaoh, his servants, and his people. Not one was left. However, Pharaoh made his heart unresponsive this time also, and did not send the people away. Chapter 9. Consequently, Jehovah said to Moses, "Go in to Pharaoh, and you must state to him, 'This is what Jehovah the God of the Hebrews has said. Send my people away, that they may serve me. But if you continue refusing to send them away, and you are still keeping hold of them, look, Jehovah's hand is coming upon your livestock that is in the field, on the horses, the asses, the camels, the herd and the flock. There will be a very heavy pestilence. And Jehovah will certainly make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt. and not a thing of all that belongs to the sons of Israel will die. Moreover, Jehovah set an appointed time, saying, Tomorrow Jehovah will do this thing in the land. Accordingly, Jehovah did this thing on the next day, and all sorts of livestock of Egypt began to die, but not one of the livestock of the sons of Israel died. Then Pharaoh sent, and look, not so much as one of Israel's livestock had died. Nevertheless, Pharaoh's heart continued to be unresponsive, and he did not send the people away. After that, Jehovah said to Moses and Aaron, Take for yourselves both hands full of soot from a kiln, and Moses must toss it toward the heavens in Pharaoh's sight. And it must become a powder upon all the land of Egypt, and it must become boils, breaking out with blisters, upon man and beast, in all the land of Egypt. So they took the soot of a kiln, and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses tossed it toward the heavens, and it became boils with blisters, breaking out on man and beast. And the magic-practicing priests were unable to stand before Moses as a result of the boils, because the boils had developed on the magic-practicing priests and on all the Egyptians. But Jehovah let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, and he did not listen to them, just as Jehovah had stated to Moses. Then Jehovah said to Moses, Get up early in the morning, and take a position in front of Pharaoh, and you must say to him, This is what Jehovah the God of the Hebrews has said. Send my people away, that they may serve me. For at this time I am sending all my blows against your heart, and upon your servants and your people, to the end that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. For by now I could have thrust my hand out, that I might strike you and your people with pestilence, and that you might be effaced from the earth. But in fact, for this cause I have kept you in existence, for the sake of showing you my power, and in order to have my name declared in all the earth. Are you still behaving haughtily against my people, in not sending them away? Here I am causing it to rain down tomorrow about this time, a very heavy hail, the like of which has never occurred in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. And now send, bring all your livestock and all that is yours in the field under shelter. As for any man and beast that will be found in the field, and not gathered into the house, the hail will have to come down upon them, and they will have to die. Anyone who feared Jehovah's word among Pharaoh's servants caused his own servants and his livestock to flee into the houses. But whoever did not set his heart to have any regard for Jehovah's word left his servants and his livestock in the field. Jehovah now said to Moses, Stretch out your hand toward the heavens, that hail may come on all the land of Egypt, upon man and beast, and all vegetation of the field in the land of Egypt. So Moses stretched out his rod toward the heavens, and Jehovah gave thunders and hail, and fire would run down to the earth. And Jehovah kept making it rain down hail upon the land of Egypt. Thus there came hail, and fire quivering in among the hail. It was very heavy, so that there had not occurred any like it in all the land of Egypt from the time it became a nation. And the hail went striking at all the land of Egypt. The hail struck everything that was in the field, from man to beast, and all sorts of vegetation of the field, and it shattered all sorts of trees of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the sons of Israel were, there occurred no hail. Eventually Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time. Jehovah is righteous, and I and my people are in the wrong. Entreat Jehovah that this may be enough of the occurring of God's thunders and hail. Then I am willing to send you away, and you will not stay any longer." So Moses said to him, "As soon as I go out of the city, I shall spread my hands up to Jehovah. The thunders will stop, and the hail will not continue any longer, in order that you may know that the earth belongs to Jehovah. As for you and your servants, I know already that you will not even then show fear because of Jehovah God." As it was, the flax and the barley had been struck, because the barley was in the ear and the flax had flower buds. But the wheat and the spelt had not been struck, because they were seasonally late. Moses now went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread his hands up to Jehovah. And the thunders and the hail began to stop, and rain did not pour down on the earth. When Pharaoh got to see that the rain and the hail and the thunders had stopped, he went sinning again, and making his heart unresponsive, he as well as his servants. And Pharaoh's heart continued obstinate, and he did not send the sons of Israel away, just as Jehovah had stated by means of Moses. Chapter 10. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh, because I have let his heart and the hearts of his servants become unresponsive, in order that I may set these signs of mine right before him, and in order that you may declare in the ears of your son and your son's son how severely I have dealt with Egypt, and my signs that I have established among them. And you will certainly know that I am Jehovah." So Moses and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and said to him, "This is what Jehovah the God of the Hebrews has said. How long must you refuse to submit yourself to me? Send my people away, that they may serve me. For if you continue refusing to send my people away, here I am bringing locusts within your boundaries tomorrow. And they will actually cover the visible surface of the earth, and it will not be possible to see the earth. And they will simply eat up the rest of what has escaped, what has been left you people by the hail, and they will certainly eat every sprouting tree of yours out of the field. And your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all Egypt, will be filled to an extent that your fathers and your fathers' fathers have not seen it from the day of their existing upon the ground until this day." With that, he turned and went out from Pharaoh. After that, Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long will this man prove to be as a snare to us? Send the men away, that they may serve Jehovah their God. Do you not yet know that Egypt has perished?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go, serve Jehovah your God." "Who in particular are the ones going?" Then Moses said, "With our young people and our old people we shall go. With our sons and our daughters, with our sheep and our cattle we shall go, for we have a festival to Jehovah." In turn he said to them, "Let it prove to be so, that Jehovah is with you when I shall send you and your little ones away? See, on the contrary, something evil is your aim. Not so. Go, please, you who are able-bodied men, and serve Jehovah, because that is what you are seeking to secure." With that, they were driven out from before Pharaoh. Jehovah now said to Moses, "Stretch your hand out over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up over the land of Egypt and eat up all the vegetation of the land, everything that the hail has let remain." At once Moses stretched his rod out over the land of Egypt, and Jehovah caused an east wind to blow upon the land all that day and all night. The morning came, and the east wind carried the locusts. And the locusts began to come up over all the land of Egypt, and to settle down upon all the territory of Egypt. They were very burdensome. Before them there had never turned up in this way locusts like them, and there will never turn up any in this way after them. And they went covering the visible surface of the entire land, and the land grew dark. And they went on eating up all the vegetation of the land, and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. And there was left nothing green on the trees, or on the vegetation of the field, in all the land of Egypt. So Pharaoh hurriedly called Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against Jehovah your God, and against you. And now pardon, please, my sin, just this once, and entreat Jehovah your God, that he may turn away just this deadly plague from upon me. So he went out from Pharaoh, and made entreaty to Jehovah. Then Jehovah made a shift to a very stiff west wind, and it carried the locusts away, and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was let remain in all the territory of Egypt. However, Jehovah let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, and he did not send the sons of Israel away. Jehovah then said to Moses, Stretch your hand out toward the heavens, that darkness may occur over the land of Egypt, and the darkness may be felt. Moses immediately stretched his hand out toward the heavens, and a gloomy darkness began to occur in all the land of Egypt for 3 days. They did not see one another, and none of them got up from his own place 3 days. But for all the sons of Israel, there proved to be light in their dwellings. After that Pharaoh called Moses and said, Go, serve Jehovah. Only your sheep and your cattle will be detained. Your little ones also may go with you. But Moses said, You yourself will also give into our hands sacrifices and burnt offerings, as we must render them to Jehovah our God. And our livestock will also go with us. Not a hoof will be allowed to remain, because it is from them that we shall take some to worship Jehovah our God. And we ourselves do not know what we shall render in worship to Jehovah until our arriving there. At this, Jehovah let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, and he did not consent to send them away. So Pharaoh said to him, Get out from me. Watch yourself. Do not try to see my face again, because on the day of your seeing my face, you will die. To this Moses said, That is the way you have spoken. I shall not try to see your face any more. Chapter 11. And Jehovah proceeded to say to Moses, 1 plague more I am going to bring upon Pharaoh and Egypt. After that, he will send you away from here. At the time he sends you away altogether, he will literally drive you out from here. Speak now in the ears of the people, that they should ask every man of his companion, and every woman of her companion, articles of silver and articles of gold. Accordingly, Jehovah gave the people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians. The man Moses, too, was very great in the land of Egypt, in the eyes of Pharaoh's servants, and in the eyes of the people. And Moses went on to say, This is what Jehovah has said. About midnight I am going out into the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt must die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who is sitting on his throne, to the firstborn of the maidservant who is at the handmill, and every firstborn of beast. And there will certainly occur a great outcry in all the land of Egypt, the like of which has never yet occurred, and the like of which will never be brought about again. But against any of the sons of Israel will no dog move eagerly its tongue, from man to beast, in order that you people may know that Jehovah can make a distinction between the Egyptians and the sons of Israel. And all these servants of yours will certainly come down to me, and prostrate themselves to me, saying, Go, you and all the people who follow your steps. And after that I shall go out. With that he went out from Pharaoh in the heat of anger. Then Jehovah said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you men, in order for my miracles to be increased in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron performed all these miracles before Pharaoh. But Jehovah would let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, so that he did not send the sons of Israel away from his land. Chapter 12. Jehovah now said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, This month will be the start of the months for you. It will be the first of the months of the year for you. Speak to the entire assembly of Israel, saying, On the 10th day of this month they are to take for themselves each one a sheep for the ancestral house, a sheep to a house. But if the household proves to be too small for the sheep, then he and his neighbor close by must take it into his house, according to the number of souls. You should compute each one proportionate to his eating as regards the sheep. The sheep should prove to be sound, a male, a year old for you. You may pick from the young rams or from the goats. And it must continue under safeguard by you until the 14th day of this month, and the whole congregation of the assembly of Israel must slaughter it between the 2 evenings. And they must take some of the blood and splash it upon the 2 doorposts and the upper part of the doorway belonging to the houses in which they will eat it. And they must eat the flesh on this night. They should eat it roasted with fire, and with unfermented cakes along with bitter greens. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled, cooked in water, but roast with fire, its head together with its shanks and its interior parts. And you must not leave any of it over till morning, but what is left over of it till morning you should burn with fire. And in this way you should eat it, with your hips girded, sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you must eat it in haste. It is Jehovah's Passover. And I must pass through the land of Egypt on this night, and strike every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from man to beast. And on all the gods of Egypt I shall execute judgments. I am Jehovah. And the blood must serve as your sign upon the houses where you are. And I must see the blood and pass over you. And the plague will not come on you as a ruination when I strike at the land of Egypt. And this day must serve as a memorial for you, and you must celebrate it as a festival to Jehovah throughout your generations. As a statute to time indefinite you should celebrate it. 7 days you are to eat unfermented cakes only. On the first day you are to take away sour dough from your houses, because anyone eating what is leavened, from the first day down to the 7th, that soul must be cut off from Israel. And on the first day there is to take place for you a holy convention, and on the 7th day a holy convention. No work is to be done on them, only what every soul needs to eat. That alone may be done for you. And you must keep the festival of unfermented cakes, because on this very day I must bring your armies out from the land of Egypt. And you must keep this day throughout your generations as a statute to time indefinite. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening you are to eat unfermented cakes, down till the 21st day of the month in the evening. 7 days no sour dough is to be found in your houses, because anyone tasting what is leavened, whether he is an alien resident or a native of the land, that soul must be cut off from the assembly of Israel. Nothing leavened are you to eat. In all your dwellings you are to eat unfermented cakes." Promptly Moses called all the older men of Israel and said to them, "Draw out and take for yourselves small cattle according to your families, and slaughter the Passover victim. And you must take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it into the blood in a basin, and strike upon the upper part of the doorway, and upon the 2 doorposts some of the blood that is in the basin. And none of you should go out of the entrance of his house until morning. Then when Jehovah does pass through to plague the Egyptians, and does see the blood upon the upper part of the doorway, and upon the 2 doorposts, Jehovah will certainly pass over the entrance, and he will not allow the ruination to enter into your houses to plague you. And you must keep this thing as a regulation for you and your sons to time indefinite. And it must occur that when you come into the land that Jehovah will give you, just as he has stated, then you must keep this service. And it must occur that when your sons say to you, 'What does this service mean to you?' then you must say, 'It is the sacrifice of the Passover to Jehovah, who passed over the houses of the sons of Israel in Egypt when he plagued the Egyptians. But he delivered our houses.'" Then the people bowed low and prostrated themselves. Subsequently the sons of Israel went and did just as Jehovah had commanded Moses and Aaron. They did just so. And it came about that at midnight Jehovah struck every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the prison hole, and every firstborn of beast. Then Pharaoh got up at night, he and all his servants and all other Egyptians, and there began arising a great outcry among the Egyptians, because there was not a house where there was not one dead. At once he called Moses and Aaron by night and said, "Get up, get out from the midst of my people, both you and the other sons of Israel, and go. Serve Jehovah just as you have stated. Take both your flocks and your herds, just as you have stated, and go. Also, you must bless me besides." And the Egyptians began to urge the people in order to send them away quickly out of the land, "because," they said, "we are all as good as dead." Consequently, the people carried their flour dough before it was leavened, with their kneading troughs wrapped up in their mantles upon their shoulder. And the sons of Israel did according to the word of Moses, in that they went asking from the Egyptians articles of silver and articles of gold and mantles. And Jehovah gave the people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, so that these granted what was asked, and they stripped the Egyptians. And the sons of Israel proceeded to depart from Ramesses for Succoth, to the number of 600,000 able-bodied men on foot, besides little ones. And a vast mixed company also went up with them, as well as flocks and herds, a very numerous stock of animals. And they began to bake the flour dough that they had brought out from Egypt into round cakes, unfermented cakes, because it had not leavened, for they had been driven out of Egypt, and had not been able to linger, and too, they had not prepared any provisions for themselves. And the dwelling of the sons of Israel, who had dwelt in Egypt, was 430 years. And it came about at the end of the 430 years, it even came about on this very day, that all the armies of Jehovah went out of the land of Egypt. It is a night for observance with regard to Jehovah, for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. With regard to Jehovah, this night is one for observance on the part of all the sons of Israel throughout their generations. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses and Aaron, "This is the statute of the Passover. No foreigner may eat of it. But where there is any slave man purchased with money, you must circumcise him. Then first he may share in eating it. A settler and a hired laborer may not eat of it. In one house it is to be eaten. You must not take any of the flesh out of the house to some place outside, and you must not break a bone in it. All the assembly of Israel are to celebrate it. And in case an alien resident resides as an alien with you, and he will actually celebrate the Passover to Jehovah, let there be a circumcising of every male of his. First then he may come near to celebrate it, and he must become like a native of the land. But no uncircumcised man may eat of it. One law is to exist for the native, and for the alien resident who is residing as an alien in your midst. So all the sons of Israel did just as Jehovah had commanded Moses and Aaron. They did just so. And it came about on this very day that Jehovah brought the sons of Israel together with their armies out of the land of Egypt. Chapter 13. And Jehovah spoke further to Moses, saying, Sanctify to me every male firstborn that opens each womb among the sons of Israel, among men and beasts. It is mine. And Moses went on to say to the people, Let there be a remembering of this day on which you went out of Egypt from the house of slaves, because by strength of hand Jehovah brought you out from here. So nothing leavened may be eaten. Today you are going out in the month of Abib, and it must occur that when Jehovah will have brought you into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your forefathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, then you must render this service in this month. 7 days you are to eat unfermented cakes, and on the 7th day is a festival to Jehovah. Unfermented cakes are to be eaten for the 7 days, and nothing leavened is to be seen with you, and no sour dough is to be seen with you within all your boundaries. And you must tell your son on that day, saying, It is because of that which Jehovah has done to me when I came out of Egypt. And it must serve for you as a sign upon your hand, and as a memorial between your eyes, in order that Jehovah's law may prove to be in your mouth, because by a strong hand Jehovah brought you out of Egypt. And you must keep this statute at its appointed time, from year to year. And it must occur that when Jehovah brings you into the land of the Canaanites, just as he has sworn to you and to your forefathers, and when he does give it to you, then you must devote every one that opens the womb to Jehovah, and every firstling, the young of a beast, which will come to be yours. The males belong to Jehovah. And every firstling ass you are to redeem with a sheep, and if you will not redeem it, then you must break its neck. And every firstborn of man among your sons you are to redeem. And it must occur that in case your son should inquire of you later on, saying, What does this mean? Then you must say to him, By strength of hand Jehovah brought me out of Egypt from the house of slaves, and it came about that Pharaoh showed obstinacy toward sending us away, and Jehovah proceeded to kill every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of man to the firstborn of beast. That is why I am sacrificing to Jehovah all the males that open the womb, and every firstborn of my sons I redeem. And it must serve as a sign upon your hand, and as a frontlet band between your eyes, because by strength of hand Jehovah brought us out of Egypt. And it came about at the time of Pharaoh sending the people away, that God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, just because it was near. For God said, It might be the people will feel regret when they see war, and will certainly return to Egypt. Hence God made the people go round about by the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. But it was in battle formation that the sons of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt. And Moses was taking Joseph's bones with him, because he had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will without fail turn his attention to you, and you must take my bones up out of here with you. And they proceeded to depart from Succoth, and to encamp at Etham at the edge of the wilderness. And Jehovah was going ahead of them in the daytime in a pillar of cloud to lead them by the way, and in the night time in a pillar of fire, to give them light to go in the daytime and night time. The pillar of cloud would not move away from before the people in the daytime, nor the pillar of fire in the night time. Chapter 14. Jehovah now spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, that they should turn back and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, in view of Baal-zephon. In front of it you are to encamp by the sea. Then Pharaoh will certainly say respecting the sons of Israel, They are wandering in confusion in the land. The wilderness has closed in upon them. So I shall indeed let Pharaoh's heart become obstinate, and he will certainly chase after them, and I shall get glory for myself by means of Pharaoh and all his military forces. And the Egyptians will certainly know that I am Jehovah. Accordingly, they did just that. Later it was reported to the king of Egypt that the people had run away. Immediately, the heart of Pharaoh, as well as his servants, was changed regarding the people, so that they said, What is this that we have done, in that we have sent Israel away from slaving for us? So he proceeded to make his war chariots ready, and he took his people with him. And he proceeded to take 600 chosen chariots, and all the other chariots of Egypt and warriors upon every one of them. Thus Jehovah let the heart of Pharaoh the king of Egypt become obstinate, and he went chasing after the sons of Israel, while the sons of Israel were going out with uplifted hand. And the Egyptians went chasing after them, and all the chariot horses of Pharaoh, and his cavalrymen and his military forces were overtaking them while camping by the sea, by Pi-hahiroth, in view of Baal-zephon. When Pharaoh got close by, the sons of Israel began to raise their eyes, and here the Egyptians were marching after them. And the sons of Israel got quite afraid, and began to cry out to Jehovah. And they proceeded to say to Moses, Is it because there are no burial places at all in Egypt that you have taken us here to die in the wilderness? What is this that you have done to us in leading us out of Egypt? Is this not the word we spoke to you in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it is better for us to serve the Egyptians than for us to die in the wilderness. Then Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and see the salvation of Jehovah, which he will perform for you today. For the Egyptians whom you do see today, you will not see again. No, never again. Jehovah will himself fight for you, and you yourselves will be silent. Jehovah now said to Moses, Why do you keep crying out to me? Speak to the sons of Israel that they should break camp. As for you, lift up your rod, and stretch your hand out over the sea, and split it apart, that the sons of Israel may go through the midst of the sea on dry land. As for me, here I am letting the hearts of the Egyptians become obstinate, that they may go in after them, and that I may get glory for myself by means of Pharaoh and all his military forces, his war chariots and his cavalrymen. And the Egyptians will certainly know that I am Jehovah, when I get glory for myself by means of Pharaoh, his war chariots, and his cavalrymen. Then the angel of the true God, who was going ahead of the camp of Israel, departed, and went to their rear. And the pillar of cloud departed from their van, and stood in the rear of them. So it came in between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. On the one hand it proved to be a cloud together with darkness. On the other hand it kept lighting up the night. And this group did not come near that group all night long. Moses now stretched his hand out over the sea, and Jehovah began making the sea go back by a strong east wind all night long, and converting the sea basin into dry ground, and the waters were being split apart. At length the sons of Israel went through the midst of the sea on dry land, while the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians took up the pursuit, and all the horses of Pharaoh, his war chariots, and his cavalrymen began going in after them into the midst of the sea. And it came about during the morning watch that Jehovah began to look out upon the camp of the Egyptians from within the pillar of fire and cloud. And he went throwing the camp of the Egyptians into confusion, and he kept taking wheels off their chariots, so that they were driving them with difficulty. And the Egyptians began to say, "Let us flee from any contact with Israel, because Jehovah certainly fights for them against the Egyptians." Finally Jehovah said to Moses, "Stretch your hand out over the sea, that the waters may come back over the Egyptians, their war chariots, and their cavalrymen." Moses at once stretched his hand out over the sea, and the sea began to come back to its normal condition at the approaching of morning. All the while the Egyptians were fleeing from encountering it, but Jehovah shook the Egyptians off into the midst of the sea, and the waters kept coming back. Finally they covered the war chariots and the cavalrymen belonging to all of Pharaoh's military forces, and who had gone into the sea after them. Not so much as one among them was let remain. As for the sons of Israel, they walked on dry land in the midst of the sea bed, and the waters were for them a wall on their right hand and on their left. Thus on that day Jehovah saved Israel from the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel got to see the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel also got to see the great hand that Jehovah put in action against the Egyptians. And the people began to fear Jehovah, and to put faith in Jehovah and in Moses, his servant. Chapter 15. At that time Moses and the sons of Israel proceeded to sing this song to Jehovah, and to say the following: "Let me sing to Jehovah, for he has become highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has pitched into the sea. My strength and my might is Jah, since he serves for my salvation. This is my God, and I shall laud him, my father's God, and I shall raise him on high. Jehovah is a manly person of war. Jehovah is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his military forces he has cast into the sea, and the choice of his warriors have been sunk in the Red Sea. The surging waters proceeded to cover them. Down they went into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Jehovah, is proving itself powerful in ability. Your right hand, O Jehovah, can shatter an enemy, and in the abundance of your superiority you can throw down those who rise up against you. You send out your burning anger, it eats them up like stubble. And by a breath from your nostrils waters were heaped up. They stood still like a dam of floods. The surging waters were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I shall pursue, I shall overtake, I shall divide spoil. My soul will be filled with them. I shall draw my sword, my hand will drive them away. You blew with your breath, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in majestic waters. Who among the gods is like you, O Jehovah? Who is like you, proving yourself mighty in holiness? the one to be feared with songs of praise, the one doing marvels. You stretched out your right hand, the earth proceeded to swallow them up. You in your loving kindness have led the people whom you have recovered. You in your strength will certainly conduct them to your holy abiding place. Peoples must hear. They will be agitated. Birth pangs must take hold on the inhabitants of Philistia. At that time the sheiks of Edom will indeed be disturbed. As for the despots of Moab, trembling will take hold on them. All the inhabitants of Canaan will indeed be disheartened. Fright and dread will fall upon them. Because of the greatness of your arm, they will be motionless like a stone. Until your people pass by, O Jehovah, until the people whom you have produced pass by. You will bring them and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, an established place that you have made ready for you to inhabit, O Jehovah. A sanctuary, O Jehovah, that your hands have established. Jehovah will rule as king to time indefinite, even forever. When Pharaoh's horses with his war chariots and his cavalrymen went into the sea, then Jehovah brought back the waters of the sea upon them, while the sons of Israel walked on dry land through the midst of the sea. And Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, proceeded to take a tambourine in her hand, and all the women began going out with her with tambourines and in dances. And Miriam kept responding to the men, "Sing to Jehovah, for he has become highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has pitched into the sea." Later Moses caused Israel to depart from the Red Sea, and they went out to the wilderness of Shur, and marched on for 3 days in the wilderness, but they did not find water. In time they came to Marah, but they were not able to drink the water from Marah, because it was bitter. That is why he called its name Marah. And the people began to murmur against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then he cried out to Jehovah. So Jehovah directed him to a tree, and he threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There he established for them a regulation and a case for judgment, and there he put them to the test. And he went on to say, "If you will strictly listen to the voice of Jehovah your God, and will do what is right in his eyes, and will indeed give ear to his commandments, and keep all his regulations, I shall put none of the maladies upon you that I put upon the Egyptians, because I am Jehovah, who is healing you." After that they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. So they went camping there by the water. Chapter 16. Later they departed from Elim, and the entire assembly of the sons of Israel finally came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their coming out of the land of Egypt. And the entire assembly of the sons of Israel began to murmur against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the sons of Israel kept saying to them, "If only we had died by Jehovah's hand in the land of Egypt, while we were sitting by the pots of meat, while we were eating bread to satisfaction, because you have brought us out into this wilderness to put this whole congregation to death by famine." Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Here I am raining down bread for you from the heavens, and the people must go out and pick up each his amount day for day, in order that I may put them to the test as to whether they will walk in my law or not. And it must occur on the 6th day that they must prepare what they will bring in, and it must prove double what they keep picking up day by day." So Moses and Aaron said to all the sons of Israel, "At evening you will certainly know that it is Jehovah who has brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning you will indeed see Jehovah's glory, because he has heard your murmurings against Jehovah. And what are we that you should murmur against us?" And Moses continued, "It will be when Jehovah gives you in the evening meat to eat, and in the morning bread to satisfaction, because Jehovah has heard your murmurings that you are murmuring against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Jehovah." And Moses went on to say to Aaron, "Say to the entire assembly of the sons of Israel, 'Come near before Jehovah, because he has heard your murmurings.'" Then it occurred that as soon as Aaron had spoken to the entire assembly of the sons of Israel, they turned and faced toward the wilderness. And look, Jehovah's glory appeared in the cloud. And Jehovah spoke further to Moses, saying, "I have heard the murmurings of the sons of Israel. Speak to them, saying, 'Between the 2 evenings you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be satisfied with bread, and you will certainly know that I am Jehovah your God.'" Accordingly it occurred that in the evening the quails began to come up and cover the camp, and in the morning there had developed a layer of dew round about the camp. In time the layer of dew evaporated, and here upon the surface of the wilderness there was a fine flaky thing, fine like hoarfrost upon the earth. When the sons of Israel got to see it, they began to say to one another, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Hence Moses said to them, "It is the bread that Jehovah has given you for food. This is the word that Jehovah has commanded. Pick up some of it, each one in proportion to his eating. You are to take an omer measure for each individual according to the number of the souls that each of you has in his tent." And the sons of Israel began to do so. And they went picking it up, some gathering much, and some gathering little. When they would measure it by the omer, he that had gathered much had no surplus, and he that had gathered little had no shortage. They picked it up each one in proportion to his eating. Then Moses said to them, "Let nobody leave any of it until the morning." But they did not listen to Moses. When some men would leave some of it until the morning, it would breed worms and stink, so that Moses became indignant at them. And they would pick it up morning by morning, each one in proportion to his eating. When the sun got hot, it melted. And it came about on the 6th day that they picked up twice as much bread, 2 omer measures for one person. So all the chieftains of the assembly came and reported it to Moses. At that he said to them, "It is what Jehovah has spoken. Tomorrow there will be a Sabbath observance of a holy Sabbath to Jehovah. What you can bake, bake, and what you can boil, boil. And all the surplus that there is, save it up for you as something to be kept until the morning." Accordingly they saved it up until the morning, just as Moses had commanded. And it did not stink, nor did maggots develop in it. Then Moses said, "Eat it today, because today is a Sabbath to Jehovah. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you will pick it up, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath. On it none will form." However, it came about on the 7th day that some of the people did go out to pick it up, but they found none. Consequently Jehovah said to Moses, "How long must you people refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? Mark the fact that Jehovah has given you the Sabbath. That is why he is giving you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Keep sitting each one in his own place. Let nobody go out from his locality on the 7th day." And the people proceeded to observe the Sabbath on the 7th day. And the house of Israel began to call its name manna. And it was white like coriander seed, and its taste was like that of flat cakes with honey. Then Moses said, "This is the word that Jehovah has commanded. Fill an omer measure of it as something to be kept throughout your generations, in order that they may see the bread that I made you eat in the wilderness when I was bringing you out of the land of Egypt." So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar, and put in it an omer full of manna, and deposit it before Jehovah as something to be kept throughout your generations." Just as Jehovah had commanded Moses, Aaron proceeded to deposit it before the testimony as something to be kept. And the sons of Israel ate the manna 40 years, until their coming to a land inhabited. The manna was what they ate until their coming to the frontier of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is 1/10 of an ephah measure. Chapter 17. And the entire assembly of the sons of Israel proceeded to depart from the wilderness of Sin by stages, which they took according to the order of Jehovah, and went camping at Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. And the people fell to quarreling with Moses, and saying, "Give us water, that we may drink." But Moses said to them, "Why are you quarreling with me? Why do you keep putting Jehovah to the test?" And the people went on thirsting there for water. And the people kept murmuring against Moses, and saying, "Why is it that you have brought us up out of Egypt to put us and our sons and our livestock to death by thirst?" Finally Moses cried out to Jehovah, saying, "What shall I do with this people? A little longer, and they will stone me." Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Pass in front of the people, and take with you some of the older men of Israel, and your rod, with which you struck the Nile River. Take it in your hand, and you must walk on. Look, I am standing before you there on the rock in Horeb. And you must strike on the rock, and water must come out of it, and the people must drink it." Subsequently Moses did so under the eyes of the older men of Israel. So he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the quarreling of the sons of Israel, and because of their putting Jehovah to the test, saying, "Is Jehovah in our midst or not?" And the Amalekites proceeded to come and fight against Israel in Rephidim. At this Moses said to Joshua, "Choose men for us and go out, fight against the Amalekites. Tomorrow I am stationing myself upon the top of the hill with the rod of the true God in my hand." Then Joshua did just as Moses had said to him, in order to fight against the Amalekites. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it occurred that as soon as Moses would lift his hand up, the Israelites proved superior. But as soon as he would let down his hand, the Amalekites proved superior. When the hands of Moses were heavy, then they took a stone, and put it under him, and he sat upon it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on this side, and the other on that side, so that his hands held steady until the sun set. Hence Joshua vanquished Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Jehovah now said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in the book, and propound it in Joshua's ears. I shall completely wipe out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens." And Moses proceeded to build an altar, and to call its name Jehovah Nissi, saying, "Because a hand is against the throne of Jah, Jehovah will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." Chapter 18. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, got to hear about all that God had done for Moses and for Israel his people, how Jehovah had brought Israel out of Egypt. So Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after the sending of her away, and her 2 sons, the name of one of whom was Gershom, because, he said, "An alien resident I have come to be in a foreign land." And the name of the other was Eliezer, because, to quote him, "The God of my father is my helper, in that he delivered me from Pharaoh's sword." So Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, and his sons and his wife, came to Moses into the wilderness where he was camping, at the mountain of the true God. Then he sent word to Moses, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am come to you, and also your wife and her 2 sons with her." At once Moses went on out to meet his father-in-law, and he proceeded to prostrate himself and to kiss him, and they each one began asking how the other was getting along. After that they went into the tent. And Moses went to relating to his father-in-law all that Jehovah had done to Pharaoh in Egypt on account of Israel, and all the hardship that had befallen them in the way, and yet Jehovah was delivering them. Then Jethro felt glad over all the good that Jehovah had done for Israel, in that he had delivered them from the hand of Egypt. Consequently Jethro said, "Blessed be Jehovah, who has delivered you from the hand of Egypt, and from the hand of Pharaoh, and who has delivered the people from under the hand of Egypt. Now I do know that Jehovah is greater than all the other gods, by reason of this affair in which they acted presumptuously against them." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for God, and Aaron and all the older men of Israel came to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before the true God. And it came about on the next day that Moses sat down as usual to serve as judge for the people, and the people kept standing before Moses from the morning till the evening. And Moses' father-in-law got to see all that he was doing for the people. So he said, "What kind of business is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you alone continue sitting, and all the people continue taking their stand before you from morning till evening?" Then Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people keep coming to me to inquire of God. In the event that they have a case arise, it must come to me, and I must judge between the one party and the other, and I must make known the decisions of the true God and his laws." At this Moses' father-in-law said to him, "It is not good the way you are doing. You will surely wear out both you and this people who are with you, because this business is too big a load for you. You are unable to do it by yourself. Now listen to my voice. I shall advise you, and God will prove to be with you. You yourself serve as representative for the people before the true God, and you yourself must bring the cases to the true God. And you must warn them of what the regulations and the laws are, and you must make known to them the way in which they should walk, and the work that they should do. But you yourself should select out of all the people capable men, fearing God, trustworthy men, hating unjust profit. And you must set these over them as chiefs over thousands, chiefs over hundreds, chiefs over 50s, and chiefs over 10s. And they must judge the people on every proper occasion. And it must occur that every big case they will bring to you, but every small case they themselves will handle as judges. So make it lighter for yourself, and they must carry the load with you. If you do this very thing, and God has commanded you, you will then certainly be able to stand it, and, besides, this people will all come to their own place in peace." Immediately Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moses proceeded to choose capable men out of all Israel, and to give them positions as heads over the people, as chiefs of thousands, chiefs of hundreds, chiefs of 50s, and chiefs of 10s. And they judged the people on every proper occasion. A hard case they would bring to Moses, but every small case they themselves would handle as judges. After that, Moses saw his father-in-law off, and he went his way to his land. Chapter 19. In the 3rd month after the sons of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. And they proceeded to pull away from Rephidim, and to come into the wilderness of Sinai, and to encamp in the wilderness. And Israel went camping there in front of the mountain. And Moses went up to the true God, and Jehovah began to call to him out of the mountain, saying, "This is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and to tell the sons of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, that I might carry you on wings of eagles, and bring you to myself. And now, if you will strictly obey my voice, and will indeed keep my covenant, then you will certainly become my special property out of all other peoples, because the whole earth belongs to me. And you yourselves will become to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you are to say to the sons of Israel." So Moses came and called the older men of the people, and set before them all these words that Jehovah had commanded him. After that all the people answered unanimously, and said, "All that Jehovah has spoken, we are willing to do." Immediately Moses took back the words of the people to Jehovah. At this Jehovah said to Moses, "Look, I am coming to you in a dark cloud, in order that the people may hear when I speak with you, and that in you also they may put faith to time indefinite." Then Moses reported the words of the people to Jehovah. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "Go to the people, and you must sanctify them today and tomorrow, and they must wash their mantles. And they must prove ready for the third day, because on the third day Jehovah will come down before the eyes of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And you must set bounds for the people round about, saying, Guard yourselves against going up into the mountain, and do not touch the edge of it. Anybody touching the mountain will positively be put to death. No hand is to touch him, because he will positively be stoned, or will positively be shot through. Whether beast or man, he will not live. At the blowing of the ram's horn, they themselves may come up to the mountain." Then Moses went down from the mountain to the people, and he set about sanctifying the people, and they engaged in washing their mantles. Accordingly he said to the people, "Get ready during the 3 days. Do not you men come near woman." And on the third day, when it became morning, it came about that thunders and lightnings began occurring, and a heavy cloud upon the mountain, and a very loud sound of a horn, so that all the people who were in the camp began to tremble. Moses now brought the people out of the camp to meet the true God, and they went taking their stand at the base of the mountain. And Mount Sinai smoked all over, due to the fact that Jehovah came down upon it in fire, and its smoke kept ascending like the smoke of a kiln, and the whole mountain was trembling very much. When the sound of the horn became continually louder and louder, Moses began to speak, and the true God began to answer him with a voice. So Jehovah came down upon Mount Sinai to the top of the mountain. Then Jehovah called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went on up. Jehovah now said to Moses, "Go down, warn the people, that they do not try to break through to Jehovah to take a look, and many of them have to fall. And let the priests also, who regularly come near to Jehovah, sanctify themselves, that Jehovah may not break out upon them." At this Moses said to Jehovah, "The people are not able to come up to Mount Sinai, because you yourself already warned us, saying, 'Set bounds for the mountain and make it sacred.'" However, Jehovah said to him, "Go, descend, and you must come up, you and Aaron with you. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up to Jehovah, that he may not break out upon them." Accordingly, Moses descended to the people and told them. Chapter 20. And God proceeded to speak all these words, saying, "I am Jehovah your God, who have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slaves. You must not have any other gods against my face. You must not make for yourself a carved image, or a form like anything that is in the heavens above, or that is on the earth underneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You must not bow down to them, nor be induced to serve them, because I, Jehovah your God, am a God exacting exclusive devotion, bringing punishment for the error of fathers upon sons, upon the 3rd generation and upon the 4th generation, in the case of those who hate me, but exercising loving kindness toward the 1000th generation, in the case of those who love me and keep my commandments. You must not take up the name of Jehovah your God in a worthless way, for Jehovah will not leave the one unpunished who takes up his name in a worthless way. Remembering the Sabbath day to hold it sacred, you are to render service, and you must do all your work 6 days. But the 7th day is a Sabbath to Jehovah your God. You must not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, your slave man, nor your slave girl, nor your domestic animal, nor your alien resident who is inside your gates. For in 6 days Jehovah made the heavens and the earth, the sea and everything that is in them, and he proceeded to rest on the 7th day. That is why Jehovah blessed the Sabbath day and proceeded to make it sacred. Honor your father and your mother, in order that your days may prove long upon the ground that Jehovah your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely as a witness against your fellow man. You must not desire your fellow man's house. You must not desire your fellow man's wife, nor his slave man, nor his slave girl, nor his bull, nor his ass, nor anything that belongs to your fellow man. Now all the people were seeing the thunders and the lightning flashes, and the sound of the horn and the mountain smoking. When the people got to see it, then they quivered and stood at a distance. And they began to say to Moses, You speak with us, and let us listen. But let not God speak with us, for fear we may die. So Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid, because for the sake of putting you to the test the true God has come, and in order that the fear of him may continue before your faces, that you may not sin. And the people kept standing at a distance, but Moses went near to the dark cloud mass where the true God was. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, This is what you are to say to the sons of Israel. You yourselves have seen that it was from the heavens I spoke with you. You must not make along with me gods of silver, and you must not make gods of gold for yourselves. An altar of ground you are to make for me, and you must sacrifice upon it your burnt offerings and your communion sacrifices, your flock and your herd. In every place where I shall cause my name to be remembered, I shall come to you, and shall certainly bless you. And if you should make an altar of stones for me, you must not build them as hewn stones. In the event that you do wield your chisel upon it, then you will profane it. And you must not go up by steps to my altar, that your private parts may not be exposed upon it. Chapter 21. And these are the judicial decisions that you are to set before them. In case you should buy a Hebrew slave, he will be a slave 6 years, but in the 7th he will go out as one set free without charge. If he should come in by himself he will go out. If he is the owner of a wife, then his wife must go out with him. If his master should give him a wife, and she does bear him sons or daughters, the wife and her children will become her master's, and he will go out by himself. But if the slave should insistently say, I really love my master, my wife, and my sons, I do not want to go out as one set free, then his master must bring him near to the true God, and must bring him up against the door or the doorpost, and his master must pierce his ear through with an awl, and he must be his slave to time indefinite. And in case a man should sell his daughter as a slave girl, she will not go out in the way that the slave men go out. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master, so that he does not designate her as a concubine, but causes her to be redeemed, he will not be entitled to sell her to a foreign people in his treacherously dealing with her. And if it should be to his son that he designates her, he is to do to her according to the due right of daughters. If he should take another wife for himself, her sustenance, her clothing, and her marriage due are not to be diminished. If he will not render these 3 things to her, then she must go out for nothing, without money. One who strikes a man so that he actually dies is to be put to death without fail. But where one does not lie in wait, and the true God lets it occur at his hand, then I must fix for you a place where he can flee. And in case a man becomes heated against his fellow to the point of killing him with craftiness, you are to take him, even from being at my altar, to die. And one who strikes his father and his mother is to be put to death without fail. And one who kidnaps a man, and who actually sells him, or in whose hand he has been found, is to be put to death without fail. And one who calls down evil upon his father and his mother is to be put to death without fail. And in case men should get into a quarrel, and one does strike his fellow with a stone or a hoe, and he does not die, but must keep to his bed, if he gets up and does walk about out of doors upon some support of his, then the one who struck him must be free from punishment. He will make compensation only for the time lost from that one's work, until he gets him completely healed. And in case a man strikes his slave man or his slave girl with a stick, and that one actually dies under his hand, that one is to be avenged without fail. However, if he lingers for a day or 2 days, he is not to be avenged, because he is his money. And in case men should struggle with each other, and they really hurt a pregnant woman, and her children do come out, but no fatal accident occurs, he is to have damages imposed upon him without fail, according to what the owner of the woman may lay upon him, and he must give it through the justices. But if a fatal accident should occur, then you must give soul for soul, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, branding for branding, wound for wound, blow for blow. And in case a man should strike the eye of his slave man, or the eye of his slave girl, and he really ruins it, he is to send him away as one set free in compensation for his eye. And if it should be the tooth of his slave man, or the tooth of his slave girl that he knocks out, he is to send him away as one set free in compensation for his tooth. And in case a bull should gore a man or a woman, and that one actually dies, the bull is to be stoned without fail, but its flesh is not to be eaten, and the owner of the bull is free from punishment. But if a bull was formerly in the habit of goring, and warning was served on its owner, but he would not keep it under guard, and it did put a man or a woman to death, the bull is to be stoned, and also its owner is to be put to death. If a ransom should be imposed upon him, then he must give the redemption price for his soul, according to all that may be imposed upon him. Whether it gored a son or gored a daughter, it is to be done to him according to this judicial decision. If it was a slave man or a slave girl that the bull gored, he will give the price of 30 shekels to that one's master, and the bull will be stoned. And in case a man should open a pit, or in case a man should excavate a pit and should not cover it, and a bull or an ass does fall into it, the owner of the pit is to make compensation. The price he is to return to its owner, and the dead animal will become his own. And in case a man's bull should hurt another's bull, and it does die, then they must sell the live bull and divide the price paid for it, and also the dead one they should divide. Or if it was known that a bull was in the habit of goring formerly, but its owner would not keep it under guard, he should without fail make compensation with bull for bull, and the dead one will become his own. Chapter 22. In case a man should steal a bull or a sheep, and he does slaughter it or sell it, he is to compensate with 5 of the herd for the bull, and 4 of the flock for the sheep. If a thief should be found in the act of breaking in, and he does get struck and die, there is no blood guilt for him. If the sun has shone forth upon him, there is blood guilt for him. He is to make compensation without fail. If he has nothing, then he must be sold for the things he stole. If there should be unmistakably found in his hand what was stolen, from bull to ass and to sheep, alive, he is to make double compensation. If a man causes a field or a vineyard to be grazed over, and he does send out his beasts of burden, and cause a consuming in another field, he is to make compensation with the best of his own field, or with the best of his own vineyard. In case a fire should spread out, and it does catch thorns, and sheaves or standing grain, or a field gets consumed, the one who started the fire is to make compensation without fail for what was burned. In case a man should give his fellow money or articles to keep, and it gets stolen from the man's house, if the thief should be found, he is to make double compensation. If the thief should not be found, then the owner of the house must be brought near to the true God, to see whether he did not put his hand upon the goods of his fellow. As regards any case of transgression concerning a bull, an ass, a sheep, a garment, anything lost of which he may say, "This is it," the case of them both is to come to the true God. The one whom God will pronounce wicked is to make double compensation to his fellow. In case a man should give his fellow an ass, or bull, or sheep, or any domestic animal to keep, and it does die or get maimed, or gets led off while nobody is looking, an oath by Jehovah is to take place between them both, that he did not put his hand on the goods of his fellow. And their owner must accept it, and the other is not to make compensation. But if they should for a fact be stolen from him, he is to make compensation to their owner. If it should for a fact be torn by a wild beast, he is to bring it as evidence. For something torn by a wild beast, he is not to make compensation. But in case anybody should ask for something of his fellow, and it does get maimed or die while its owner is not with it, he is to make compensation without fail. If its owner is with it, he is not to make compensation. If it is hired, it must come in its hire. Now in case a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged, and he actually lies down with her, he is to obtain her without fail as his wife for the purchase price. If her father flatly refuses to give her to him, he is to pay over the money at the rate of purchase money for virgins. You must not preserve a sorceress alive. Anyone lying down with a beast is positively to be put to death. One who sacrifices to any gods but Jehovah alone is to be devoted to destruction. And you must not maltreat an alien resident or oppress him, for you people became alien residents in the land of Egypt. You people must not afflict any widow or fatherless boy. If you should afflict him at all, then if he cries out to me at all, I shall unfailingly hear his outcry. And my anger will indeed blaze, and I shall certainly kill you with the sword. And your wives must become widows, and your sons fatherless boys. If you should lend money to my people, to the afflicted alongside you, you must not become like a usurer to him. You must not lay interest upon him. If you should at all seize the garment of your fellow as a pledge, you are to return it to him at the setting of the sun, for it is his only covering. It is his mantle for his skin. In what will he lie down? And it must occur that he will cry out to me, and I shall certainly hear, because I am gracious. You must not call down evil upon God, nor curse a chieftain among your people. Your full produce and the overflow of your press you must not give hesitantly. The firstborn of your sons you are to give to me. The way you are to do with your bull and your sheep is this. 7 days it will continue with its mother. On the 8th day you are to give it to me. And you should prove yourselves holy men to me. And you must not eat flesh in the field that is something torn by a wild beast. You should throw it to the dogs. Chapter 23. You must not take up an untrue report. Do not cooperate with a wicked one by becoming a witness who schemes violence. You must not follow after the crowd for evil ends, and you must not testify over a controversy so as to turn aside with the crowd in order to pervert justice. As for the lowly one, you must not show preference in a controversy of his. Should you come upon your enemy's bull or his ass going astray, you are to return it without fail to him. Should you see the ass of someone who hates you lying down under its load, then you must refrain from leaving him. With him you are without fail to get it loose. You are not to pervert the judicial decision of your poor man in his controversy. You are to keep far from a false word, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I shall not declare the wicked one righteous. You are not to accept a bribe, for the bribe blinds clear-sighted men and can distort the words of righteous men. And you must not oppress an alien resident, as you yourselves have known the soul of the alien resident, because you became alien residents in the land of Egypt. And for 6 years you are to sow your land with seed, and you must gather its produce. But the 7th year you are to leave it uncultivated, and you must let it lie fallow. And the poor ones of your people must eat of it. And what is left over by them, the wild beasts of the field are to eat. That is the way you are to do with your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days you are to do your work, but on the 7th day you are to desist, in order that your bull and your ass may rest, and the son of your slave girl and the alien resident may refresh themselves. And you are to be on your guard respecting all that I have said to you, and you must not mention the name of other gods. It should not be heard upon your mouth. 3 times in the year you are to celebrate a festival to me. You will keep the festival of unfermented cakes. You will eat unfermented cakes 7 days, just as I have commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Abib, because in it you came out of Egypt. And they must not appear before me empty-handed. Also, the festival of harvest of the first ripe fruits of your labors, of what you sow in the field, and the festival of ingathering at the outgoing of the year, when you gather in your labors from the field. On 3 occasions in the year every male of yours will appear before the face of the true Lord, Jehovah. You must not sacrifice along with what is leavened the blood of my sacrifice. And the fat of my festival should not stay overnight until morning. The best of the first ripe fruits of your ground you are to bring to the house of Jehovah your God. You must not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Here I am sending an angel ahead of you to keep you on the road and to bring you into the place that I have prepared. Watch yourself because of him, and obey his voice. Do not behave rebelliously against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, because my name is within him. However, if you strictly obey his voice and really do all that I shall speak, then I shall certainly be hostile to your enemies, and harass those who harass you. For my angel will go ahead of you, and will indeed bring you to the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I shall certainly efface them. You must not bow down to their gods, or be induced to serve them, and you must not make anything like their works. But you will without fail throw them down, and you will without fail break down their sacred pillars. And you must serve Jehovah your God, and he will certainly bless your bread and your water. And I shall indeed turn malady away from your midst. Neither a woman suffering an abortion, nor a barren woman will exist in your land. I shall make the number of your days full. And I shall send the fright of me ahead of you, and I shall certainly throw into confusion all the people among whom you come, and I shall indeed give the back of the neck of all your enemies to you. And I will send the feeling of dejection ahead of you, and it will simply drive the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites out from before you. I shall not drive them out from before you in 1 year, that the land may not become a desolate waste, and the wild beasts of the field really multiply against you. Little by little I shall drive them out from before you, until you become fruitful and really take possession of the land. And I will fix your boundary from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river, because I shall give into your hand the inhabitants of the land, and you will certainly drive them out from before yourself. You are not to conclude a covenant with them or their gods. They should not dwell in your land, that they may not cause you to sin against me. In case you should serve their gods, it would become a snare to you. Chapter 24. And to Moses he said, Go up to Jehovah, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the older men of Israel, and you must bow down from a distance. And Moses by himself must approach Jehovah, but they should not approach, and the people should not go up with him. Then Moses came and related to the people all the words of Jehovah, and all the judicial decisions, and all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words that Jehovah has spoken, we are willing to do. Accordingly Moses wrote down all the words of Jehovah. Then he got up early in the morning, and built at the foot of the mountain an altar, and 12 pillars corresponding with the 12 tribes of Israel. After that he sent young men of the sons of Israel, and they offered up burnt offerings and sacrificed bulls as sacrifices, as communion sacrifices to Jehovah. Then Moses took half the blood and put it in bowls, and half the blood he sprinkled upon the altar. Finally he took the book of the covenant and read it in the ears of the people. Then they said, All that Jehovah has spoken, we are willing to do, and be obedient. So Moses took the blood and sprinkled it upon the people, and said, Here is the blood of the covenant that Jehovah has concluded with you as respects all these words. And Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the older men of Israel, proceeded to go up, and they got to see the God of Israel. And under his feet there was what seemed like a work of sapphire flagstones, and like the very heavens for purity. And he did not put out his hand against the distinguished men of the sons of Israel, but they got a vision of the true God, and ate and drank. Jehovah now said to Moses, Come up to me in the mountain and stay there, as I want to give you the stone tablets and the law and the commandment that I must write in order to teach them." So Moses and Joshua his minister got up, and Moses went up into the mountain of the true God. But to the older men he had said, "You wait for us in this place until we return to you. And look, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a case at law, let him approach them." Thus Moses went up into the mountain, while the cloud was covering the mountain. And Jehovah's glory continued to reside upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud continued to cover it for 6 days. At length, on the 7th day, he called to Moses from the midst of the cloud. And to the eyes of the sons of Israel, the sight of Jehovah's glory was like a devouring fire on the mountain top. Then Moses entered into the midst of the cloud, and went on up the mountain. And Moses continued in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 25. And Jehovah proceeded to speak to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, that they may take up a contribution for me. From every man whose heart incites him, you people are to take up the contribution of mine. And this is the contribution that you are to take up from them: gold and silver and copper, and blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, and caucus scarlet material, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and seal skins, and acacia wood, oil for the luminary, balsam oil for the anointing oil, and for perfumed incense, and onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod, and for the breastpiece. And they must make a sanctuary for me, as I must tabernacle in the midst of them, according to all that I am showing you as the pattern of the tabernacle, and pattern of all its furnishings. That is the way you are to make it. And they must make an ark of acacia wood, 2½ cubits its length, and 1½ cubits its width, and 1½ cubits its height. And you must overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside you are to overlay it. And you must make a border of gold round about upon it. And you must cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them above its 4 feet, with 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon its other side. And you must make poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And you must put the poles through the rings upon the sides of the ark, in order to carry the ark with them. In the rings of the ark the poles are to stay. They are not to be removed from it. And you must place in the ark the testimony that I shall give you. And you must make a cover of pure gold, 2½ cubits its length, and 1½ cubits its width. And you must make 2 cherubs of gold. Of hammered work you are to make them, on both ends of the cover. And make 1 cherub on this end, and 1 cherub on that end. On the cover you are to make the cherubs at its 2 ends. And the cherubs must be spreading out their 2 wings upward, screening over the cover with their wings, with their faces one toward the other. Toward the cover the faces of the cherubs should be. And you must place the cover above upon the ark, and in the ark you will place the testimony that I shall give you. And I will present myself to you there, and speak with you from above the cover, from between the 2 cherubs that are upon the ark of the testimony, even all that I shall command you for the sons of Israel. And you must make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits its length, and 1 cubit its width, and 1½ cubits its height. And you must overlay it with pure gold, and you must make for it a border of gold round about. And you must make for it a rim of a handbreadth round about, and you must make the border of gold for its rim round about. And you must make for it 4 rings of gold, and place the rings on the 4 corners that are for the 4 feet. The rings should be close by the rim as supports for the poles to carry the table. And you must make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold, and they must carry the table with them. And you must make its dishes and its cups and its pitchers and its bowls with which they will pour libations. You are to make them out of pure gold. And you must put the showbread upon the table before me constantly. And you must make a lampstand of pure gold. Of hammered work the lampstand is to be made, its base, its branches, its cups, its knobs, and its blossoms are to proceed out from it. And 6 branches are running out from its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand from its one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand from its other side. 3 cups shaped like flowers of almond are on the one set of branches, with knobs and blossoms alternating, and 3 cups shaped like flowers of almond on the other set of branches, with knobs and blossoms alternating. This is the way it is with the 6 branches running out from the lampstand. And on the lampstand are 4 cups shaped like flowers of almond, with its knobs and its blossoms alternating. And the knob under 2 branches is out of it, and the knob under the 2 other branches is out of it, and the knob under 2 more branches is out of it, for the 6 branches running out from the lampstand. Their knobs and their branches are to proceed out from it. All of it is one piece of hammered work, of pure gold. And you must make 7 lamps for it, and the lamps must be lit up, and they must shine upon the area in front of it. And its snuffers and its fire holders are of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold he should make it with all these utensils of it. And see that you make them after their pattern that was shown to you in the mountain. Chapter 26. And the tabernacle you are to make of 10 tent cloths, of fine twisted linen and blue thread and wool dyed reddish-purple and cocker scarlet material. With cherubs, the work of an embroiderer, you will make them. The length of each tent cloth is 28 cubits, and the width of each tent cloth is 4 cubits. There is one measure for all the tent cloths. 5 tent cloths are to form a series with the one joined to the other, and 5 tent cloths a series with the one joined to the other. And you must make loops of blue thread upon the edge of the one tent cloth at the end of the series, and you are to do the same upon the edge of the outermost tent cloth at the other place of junction. You will make 50 loops on the one tent cloth, and 50 loops you will make on the extremity of the tent cloth that is at the other place of junction, the loops being opposite one to the other. And you must make 50 hooks of gold, and join the tent cloths one to the other by means of the hooks, and it must become one tabernacle. And you must make cloths of goat's hair for the tent upon the tabernacle. You will make 11 tent cloths. The length of each tent cloth is 30 cubits, and the width of each tent cloth is 4 cubits. There is one measure for the 11 tent cloths, and you must join 5 tent cloths by themselves, and 6 tent cloths by themselves, and you must fold double the 6th tent cloth at the forefront of the tent. And you must make 50 loops upon the edge of the one tent cloth, the outermost one in the series, and 50 loops upon the edge of the tent cloth at the other place of junction. And you must make 50 hooks of copper, and put the hooks in the loops and join the tent together, and it must become one. And what remains over of the cloths of the tent is an overhanging. Half of the tent cloth that remains over is to hang over the back of the tabernacle. And the cubit on this side, and the cubit on that side, in what remains over in the length of the cloths of the tent, will serve as an overhanging on the sides of the tabernacle, to cover it on this side and on that. And you must make a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of sealskins up on top. And you must make the panel frames for the tabernacle of acacia wood, standing on end. 10 cubits is the length of a panel frame, and 1.5 cubits is the width of each panel frame. Each panel frame has 2 tenons joined one to the other. That is the way you will do with all the panel frames of the tabernacle. And you must make the panel frames for the tabernacle 20 panel frames for the side toward the Negeb, to the south. And you will make 40 socket pedestals of silver under the 20 panel frames, 2 socket pedestals under the one panel frame with its 2 tenons, and 2 socket pedestals under the other panel frame with its 2 tenons. And for the other side of the tabernacle, the northern side, 20 panel frames, and there 40 socket pedestals of silver, 2 socket pedestals under the one panel frame, and 2 socket pedestals under the other panel frame. And for the rear sections of the tabernacle to the west, you will make 6 panel frames, and you will make 2 panel frames as corner posts of the tabernacle on its 2 rear sections, and they should be duplicates at the bottom, and together they should be duplicates up to the top of each one at the first ring. That is the way it should be for the 2 of them. They will serve as 2 corner posts. And there must be 8 panel frames and their socket pedestals of silver, 16 pedestals, 2 socket pedestals under the one panel frame, and 2 socket pedestals under the other panel frame. And you must make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the panel frames of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the panel frames of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the panel frames of the side of the tabernacle for the 2 rear sections to the west. And the middle bar at the center of the panel frames is running through from end to end. And you will overlay the panel frames with gold, and their rings you will make of gold as supports for the bars, and you must overlay the bars with gold. And you must set up the tabernacle according to the plan of it that you have been shown in the mountain. And you must make a curtain of blue thread and wool dyed reddish-purple and cocker scarlet material and fine twisted linen. He will make it with cherubs, the work of an embroiderer. And you must put it upon 4 pillars of acacia overlaid with gold. Their pegs are of gold. They are upon 4 socket pedestals of silver. And you must put the curtain under the hooks and bring the ark of the testimony there within the curtain. And the curtain must make a division for you between the holy and the most holy. And you must put the cover upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy. And you must set the table outside the curtain, and the lampstand opposite the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south, and the table you will put on the north side. And you must make a screen for the entrance of the tent of blue thread and wool dyed reddish-purple and cocker scarlet material and fine twisted linen, the work of a weaver. And you must make for the screen 5 pillars of acacia, and overlay them with gold. Their pegs are of gold, and you must cast for them 5 socket pedestals of copper. Chapter 27. And you must make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits its length, and 5 cubits its width. The altar should be 4 square, and its height 3 cubits. And you must make its horns upon its 4 corners. Its horns will proceed out of it, and you must overlay it with copper, and you must make its cans for clearing away its fatty ashes, and its shovels, and its bowls, and its forks, and its fire holders, and you will make all its utensils of copper. And you must make a grating for it, a network of copper, and you must make upon the net 4 rings of copper at its 4 extremities, and you must put it under the altar's rim down within, and the net must be toward the center of the altar. And you must make poles for the altar, its poles being of acacia wood, and you must overlay them with copper. And its poles must be put into the rings, and the poles must be upon the 2 sides of the altar when carrying it. A hollow chest of planks you will make it. Just as he showed you in the mountain, so they will make it. And you must make the courtyard of the tabernacle. For the side toward the Negeb, to the south, the courtyard has hangings of fine twisted linen, 100 cubits being the length for the one side. And its 20 pillars and their 20 socket pedestals are of copper. The pegs of the pillars and their joints are of silver. So too it is for the north side in length, the hangings being for 100 cubits of length, and its 20 pillars and their 20 socket pedestals being of copper, the pegs of the pillars and their joints being of silver. As for the width of the courtyard on the west side, the hangings are of 50 cubits, their pillars being 10, and their socket pedestals 10. And the width of the courtyard on the east side toward the sun rising is 50 cubits, and there are 15 cubits of hangings to one side, their pillars being 3, and their socket pedestals 3. And for the other side there are 15 cubits of hangings, their pillars being 3, and their socket pedestals 3. And for the gate of the courtyard there is a screen 20 cubits long, of blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and cocker scarlet material, and fine twisted linen, the work of a weaver, their pillars being 4, and their socket pedestals 4. All the pillars of the courtyard round about have fastenings of silver, and their pegs are of silver, but their socket pedestals of copper. The length of the courtyard is 100 cubits, and the width 50 cubits, and the height 5 cubits of fine twisted linen, and their socket pedestals being of copper. And all the utensils of the tabernacle in all its service, and all its tent pins, and all the pins of the courtyard are of copper. As for you, you are to command the sons of Israel that they get for you pure beaten olive oil for the luminary, in order to light up the lamps constantly. In the tent of meeting, outside the curtain that is by the testimony, Aaron and his sons will set it in order from evening till morning before Jehovah. It is a statute to time indefinite for their generations, to be performed by the sons of Israel. Chapter 28. And as for you, bring near to yourself Aaron your brother, and his sons with him, from the midst of the sons of Israel, that he may act as priest to me, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron. And you must make holy garments for Aaron your brother, for glory and beauty. And you yourself are to speak to all the ones wise with a heart that I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, and they must make Aaron's garments for sanctifying him, that he may act as priest to me. And these are the garments that they will make: a breastpiece, and an ephod, and a sleeveless coat, and a robe of checker-work, a turban, and a sash. And they must make the holy garments for Aaron your brother and his sons, that he may act as priest to me. And they themselves will take the gold and the blue thread, and the wool dyed reddish-purple and cocker scarlet material, and the fine linen. And they must make the ephod of gold, blue thread and wool dyed reddish-purple, cocker scarlet material, and fine twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer. And it is to have 2 shoulder pieces to be joined at its 2 extremities, and it must be joined. And the girdle which is upon it, for tying it close, according to its workmanship, should be of its materials of gold, blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and cocker scarlet material, and fine twisted linen. And you must take 2 onyx stones, and engrave upon them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names upon the one stone, and the names of the 6 remaining ones upon the other stone, in the order of their births. With the work of a craftsman in stones, with the engravings of a seal, you are to engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel. Set in settings of gold is how you will make them. And you must put the 2 stones upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel. And Aaron must carry their names before Jehovah upon his 2 shoulder pieces as a memorial. And you must make settings of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold. As cords you will make them with the workmanship of a rope, and you must attach the rope-like chains to the settings. And you must make the breastpiece of judgment with the workmanship of an embroiderer, like the workmanship of the ephod you will make it, of gold, blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, and cocker scarlet material, and fine twisted linen you will make it. It should be 4 square when doubled, a span of the hand being its length, and a span of the hand its width. And you must fill it with a filling of stones, there being 4 rows of stones. A row of ruby, topaz, and emerald is the first row, and the second row is turquoise, sapphire, and jasper. And the third row is leshem stone, agate, and amethyst. And the 4th row is chrysolite, and onyx, and jade. Sockets of gold should be in their fillings. And the stones should be according to the names of the sons of Israel, the 12 according to their names. With the engravings of a seal they should be, each one according to its name, for the 12 tribes. And you must make upon the breastpiece wreathed chains, in rope work of pure gold. And you must make upon the breastpiece 2 rings of gold, and you must put the 2 rings upon the 2 extremities of the breastpiece. And you must put the 2 ropes of gold through the 2 rings at the extremities of the breastpiece. And you will put the 2 ends of the 2 ropes through the 2 settings, and you must put them upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod, at the forefront of it. And you must make 2 rings of gold, and set them at the 2 extremities of the breastpiece, upon its edge that is on the side toward the ephod inward. And you must make 2 rings of gold, and put them upon the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod from below, on its forefront, near its place of joining, above the girdle of the ephod. And they will bind the breastpiece by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue string, that it may continue above the girdle of the ephod, and the breastpiece may not get displaced from on top the ephod. And Aaron must carry the names of the sons of Israel on the breastpiece of judgment over his heart, when he comes into the holy as a memorial before Jehovah constantly. And you must put the Urim and the Thummim into the breastpiece of judgment, and they must prove to be over Aaron's heart, when he comes in before Jehovah. And Aaron must carry the judgments of the sons of Israel over his heart before Jehovah constantly. And you must make the sleeveless coat of the ephod completely of blue thread, and there must be an opening at its top in the middle of it. Its opening should have a border round about, the product of a loom worker. Like the opening of a coat of mail it should be for it, that it may not be torn. And you must make upon the hem of it pomegranates of blue thread and wool-dyed reddish purple, and cocker scarlet material, upon its hem round about, and bells of gold in between them round about. A bell of gold and a pomegranate, a bell of gold and a pomegranate upon the hem of the sleeveless coat round about. And it must be upon Aaron that he may minister, and the sound from him must be heard when he goes into the sanctuary before Jehovah, and when he comes out, that he may not die. And you must make a shining plate of pure gold, and engrave upon it with the engravings of a seal, Holiness belongs to Jehovah. And you must fasten it with a blue string, and it must come to be upon the turban. On the forefront of the turban it should come to be. And it must come to be upon Aaron's forehead. And Aaron must answer for the error committed against the holy objects, which the sons of Israel will sanctify, that is to say, all their holy gifts, and it must stay upon his forehead constantly, to gain approval for them before Jehovah. And you must weave in checker work the robe of fine linen, and make a turban of fine linen, and you will make a sash, the work of a weaver. And for Aaron's sons you will make robes, and you must make sashes for them, and you will make headgears for them for glory and beauty. And with them you must clothe Aaron your brother and his sons with him, and you must anoint them, and fill their hand with power, and sanctify them, and they must act as priests to me. And make drawers of linen for them to cover the naked flesh. From the hips and to the thighs they are to extend. And they must be upon Aaron and his sons when they come into the tent of meeting, or when they go near to the altar to minister in the holy place, that they may not incur error, and certainly die. It is a statute to time indefinite for him, and his offspring after him. Chapter 29. And this is the thing that you are to do to them to sanctify them for acting as priests to me. Take a young bull and 2 rams, sound ones, and unfermented bread and unfermented ring-shaped cakes moistened with oil, and unfermented wafers smeared with oil. Out of fine wheat flour you will make them. And you must put them upon a basket, and present them in the basket, and also the bull and the 2 rams. And you will present Aaron and his sons at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and you must wash them with water. Then you must take the garments and clothe Aaron with the robe and the sleeveless coat of the ephod, and with the ephod and the breastpiece. And you must tie it closely to him with the girdle of the ephod. And you must set the turban upon his head, and put the holy sign of dedication upon the turban. And you must take the anointing oil, and pour it upon his head, and anoint him. Then you will bring his sons near, and you must clothe them with the robes, and you must gird them with the sashes, Aaron as well as his sons, and you must wrap the headgear upon them, and the priesthood must become theirs as a statute to time indefinite. So you must fill the hand of Aaron and the hand of his sons with power. You must now present the bull before the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons must lay their hands upon the bull's head. And you must slaughter the bull before Jehovah at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And you must take some of the bull's blood, and put it with your finger upon the horns of the altar, and all the rest of the blood you will pour out at the base of the altar. And you must take all the fat that covers the intestines, and the appendage upon the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and you must make them smoke upon the altar. But the bull's flesh and its skin and its dung you will burn with fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Then you will take the 1 ram, and Aaron and his sons must lay their hands upon the ram's head, and you must slaughter the ram, and take its blood, and sprinkle it round about upon the altar. And you will cut up the ram into its pieces, and you must wash its intestines and its shanks, and put its pieces to one another, and up to its head. And you must make the entire ram smoke upon the altar. It is a burnt offering to Jehovah, a restful odor. It is an offering made by fire to Jehovah. Next you must take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons must lay their hands upon the ram's head. And you must slaughter the ram, and take some of its blood, and put it upon the lobe of Aaron's right ear, and upon the lobe of his son's right ear, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and the big toe of their right foot. And you must sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar. And you must take some of the blood that is upon the altar, and some of the anointing oil, and you must spatter it upon Aaron and his garments, and upon his sons, and the garments of his sons with him, that he and his garments and his sons, and the garments of his sons with him, may indeed be holy. And you must take from the ram the fat and the fat tail, and the fat that covers the intestines, and the appendage of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right leg, for it is a ram of installation. Also a round loaf of bread, and a ring-shaped cake of oiled bread, and a wafer out of the basket of unfermented cakes that is before Jehovah. And you must place them all upon the palms of Aaron, and upon the palms of his sons, and you must wave them to and fro as a wave offering before Jehovah. And you must take them off their hands, and make them smoke upon the altar upon the burnt offering as a restful odor before Jehovah. It is an offering made by fire to Jehovah. And you must take the breast of the ram of installation, which is for Aaron, and wave it to and fro as a wave offering before Jehovah, and it must become your portion. And you must sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the leg of the sacred portion that was waved, and that was contributed from the ram of installation, from what was for Aaron and from what was for his sons. And it must become Aaron's and his sons by a regulation to time indefinite, to be performed by the sons of Israel, because it is a sacred portion, and it will become a sacred portion to be rendered by the sons of Israel. From their communion sacrifices it is their sacred portion for Jehovah. And the holy garments that are Aaron's will serve for his sons after him, to anoint them in them, and to fill their hand with power in them. 7 days the priest who succeeds him from among his sons, and who comes into the tent of meeting to minister in the holy place, will wear them. And you will take the ram of installation, and you must boil its flesh in a holy place. And Aaron and his sons must eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And they must eat the things with which atonement has been made to fill their hand with power, in order to sanctify them. But a stranger may not eat them, because they are something holy. And if any of the flesh of the installation sacrifice and of the bread should be left over until the morning, then you must burn what is left over with fire. It must not be eaten, because it is something holy. And you must do this way to Aaron and his sons, according to all that I have commanded you. You will take 7 days to fill their hand with power. And you will offer the bull of the sin offering daily for an atonement, and you must purify the altar from sin by your making atonement over it, and you must anoint it to sanctify it. You will take 7 days to make atonement over the altar, and you must sanctify it that it may indeed become a most holy altar. Anyone who touches the altar is to be holy. And this is what you will offer upon the altar: young rams, each a year old, 2 a day, constantly. And you will offer the 1 young ram in the morning, and you will offer the other young ram between the 2 evenings, and 1/10 part of an ephah measure of fine flour, moistened with the 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil, and a drink offering of the 1/4 of a hin of wine, will go for the first young ram. And you will offer the 2nd young ram between the 2 evenings, with a grain offering like that of the morning, and with a drink offering like its. You will render it as a restful odor, an offering made by fire to Jehovah. It is a constant burnt offering throughout your generations, at the entrance of the tent of meeting, before Jehovah, where I shall present myself to you people, to speak to you there. And I will present myself there to the sons of Israel, and it will certainly be sanctified by my glory. And I will sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar, and I shall sanctify Aaron and his sons for them to act as priests to me. And I will tabernacle in the midst of the sons of Israel, and I will prove to be their God. And they will certainly know that I am Jehovah their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I may tabernacle in the midst of them. I am Jehovah their God. Chapter 30. And you must make an altar as a place for burning incense. Out of acacia wood you will make it, 1 cubit in length, and 1 cubit in width. It should be 4 square, and its height 2 cubits. Its horns extend out of it. And you must overlay it with pure gold, its top surface, and its sides round about, and its horns. And you must make a border of gold round about for it. You will also make for it 2 rings of gold. Down below its border, upon 2 of its sides, you will make them, upon 2 opposite sides of it, as they must serve as supports for the poles with which to carry it. And you must make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And you must put it before the curtain that is near the ark of the testimony, before the cover that is over the testimony, where I shall present myself to you. And Aaron must make perfumed incense smoke upon it. Morning by morning, when he dresses the lamps, he will make it smoke. And when Aaron lights up the lamps between the 2 evenings, he will make it smoke. It is an incense constantly before Jehovah during your generations. You must not offer upon it illegitimate incense, or a burnt offering or a grain offering, and you must not pour a drink offering upon it. And Aaron must make atonement upon its horns once a year. With some of the blood of the sin offering of the atonement he will make atonement for it once a year during your generations. It is most holy to Jehovah. And Jehovah went on to speak to Moses, saying, Whenever you take the sum of the sons of Israel as a census of them, then they must each give a ransom for his soul to Jehovah when taking a census of them, that there may come to be no plague upon them when taking a census of them. This is what all those will give who pass over to those numbered: 1/2 shekel by the shekel of the holy place, 20 gerahs equal a shekel. 1/2 shekel is the contribution to Jehovah. Everyone passing over to those registered from 20 years old and upward will give Jehovah's contribution. The rich should not give more, and the lowly must not give less than the 1/2 shekel. in order to give Jehovah's contribution, so as to make atonement for your souls. And you must take the silver money of the atonement from the sons of Israel, and give it in behalf of the service of the tent of meeting, that it may indeed serve as a memorial before Jehovah for the sons of Israel to make atonement for your souls. And Jehovah spoke further to Moses, saying, You must make a basin of copper, and its stand of copper for washing, and you must put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water into it. And Aaron and his sons must wash their hands and their feet at it. When they go into the tent of meeting, they will wash with water, that they may not die. Or when they go near the altar to minister in order to make an offering made by fire, smoke to Jehovah. And they must wash their hands and their feet, that they may not die. And it must serve as a regulation to time indefinite for them, for him and his offspring throughout their generations. And Jehovah continued to speak to Moses, saying, As for you, take to yourself the choicest perfumes, myrrh in congealed drops, 500 units, and sweet cinnamon in half that amount, 250 units, and sweet calamus, 250 units, and cassia, 500 units by the shekel of the holy place, and olive oil, a hin. Then you must make out of it a holy anointing oil, an ointment, a mixture that is the work of an ointment maker. It is to be a holy anointing oil. And you must anoint with it the tent of meeting, and the ark of the testimony, and the table and all its utensils, and the lampstand and its utensils, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering, and all its utensils, and the basin and its stand. And you must sanctify them, that they may indeed become most holy. Anyone touching them is to be holy. And you will anoint Aaron and his sons, and you must sanctify them for acting as priests to me. And you will speak to the sons of Israel, saying, This is to continue as a holy anointing oil to me during your generations. It is not to be rubbed in the flesh of mankind, and with its composition you must not make any like it. It is something holy. It is to continue as something holy for you. Anyone who makes an ointment like it, and who puts some of it upon a stranger, must be cut off from his people. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, Take to yourself perfumes, stacte drops and onycha, and perfumed galbanum, and pure frankincense. There should be the same portion of each. And you must make it into an incense, a spice mixture, the work of an ointment maker, salted, pure, something holy. And you must pound some of it into fine powder, and put some of it before the testimony in the tent of meeting, where I shall present myself to you. It should be most holy to you people. And the incense that you will make with this composition, you must not make for yourselves. For you it is to continue as something holy to Jehovah. Whoever makes any like it, to enjoy its smell, must be cut off from his people. Chapter 31. And Jehovah continued to speak to Moses, saying, See, I do call by name Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I shall fill him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, and in understanding, and in knowledge, and in every kind of craftsmanship, for designing devices, for working in gold and silver and copper, and in working of stones to set them, and in working of wood to make products of every kind. As for me, look, I do put with him Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan. And in the heart of every one wise of heart I do put wisdom, that they may indeed make everything I have commanded you, the tent of meeting, and the ark for the testimony, and the cover that is upon it, and all the utensils of the tent, and the table, and its utensils, and the lampstand of pure gold, and all its utensils, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering, and all its utensils, and the basin, and its stand, and the garments of knitted work, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons for acting as priests, and the anointing oil, and the perfumed incense for the sanctuary. According to everything I have commanded you, they will do. And Jehovah said further to Moses, As for you, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, Especially my Sabbaths you are to keep, for it is a sign between me and you during your generations, that you may know that I, Jehovah, am sanctifying you. And you must keep the Sabbath, for it is something holy to you. A profaner of it will positively be put to death. In case there is anyone doing work on it, then that soul must be cut off from the midst of his people. 6 days may work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of complete rest. It is something holy to Jehovah. Anyone doing work on the Sabbath day will positively be put to death. And the sons of Israel must keep the Sabbath, so as to carry out the Sabbath during their generations. It is a covenant to time indefinite. Between me and the sons of Israel it is a sign to time indefinite, because in 6 days Jehovah made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested, and proceeded to refresh himself. Now as soon as he had finished speaking with him on Mount Sinai, he proceeded to give Moses 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone written on by God's finger. Chapter 32. Meanwhile, the people got to see that Moses was taking a long time about coming down from the mountain. So the people congregated themselves about Aaron and said to him, Get up, make for us a god who will go ahead of us, because as regards this Moses, the man who led us up out of the land of Egypt, we certainly do not know what has happened to him. At this Aaron said to them, Tear off the gold earrings that are in the ears of your wives, of your sons and of your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people began tearing off the gold earrings that were in their ears and bringing them to Aaron. Then he took the gold from their hands, and he formed it with a graving tool, and proceeded to make it into a molten statue of a calf. And they began to say, This is your God, O Israel, who led you up out of the land of Egypt. When Aaron got to see this, he went to building an altar before it. Finally Aaron called out and said, There is a festival to Jehovah tomorrow. So on the next day they were early in rising, and they began offering up burnt offerings and presenting communion sacrifices. After that the people sat down to eat and drink. Then they got up to have a good time. Jehovah now said to Moses, Go, descend, because your people whom you led up out of the land of Egypt have acted ruinously. They have turned aside in a hurry from the way I have commanded them to go. They have made a molten statue of a calf for themselves, and keep bowing down to it and sacrificing to it, and saying, This is your God, O Israel, who led you up out of the land of Egypt. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, I have looked at this people, and here it is a stiff-necked people. So now let me be, that my anger may blaze against them, and I may exterminate them, and let me make you into a great nation. And Moses proceeded to soften the face of Jehovah his God, and to say, Why, O Jehovah, should your anger blaze against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a strong hand? Why should the Egyptians say, With evil intent he brought them out, in order to kill them among the mountains, and to exterminate them from the surface of the ground? Turn from your burning anger, and feel regret over the evil against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by yourself, in that you said to them, I shall multiply your seed like the stars of the heavens, and all this land that I have designated I shall give to your seed, that they may indeed take possession of it to time indefinite. And Jehovah began to feel regret over the evil that he had spoken of doing to his people. After that Moses turned, and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, tablets written upon on both their sides, on this side and on that they were written upon. And the tablets were the workmanship of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved upon the tablets. Joshua began to hear the noise of the people because of their shouting, and he proceeded to say to Moses, "There is a noise of battle in the camp." But he said, "It is not the sound of the singing over mighty performance, and it is not the sound of the singing of defeat. It is the sound of other singing that I am hearing." So it came about that as soon as he got near the camp and could see the calf and the dancers, Moses' anger began to blaze, and he at once threw the tablets from his hands and shattered them at the foot of the mountain. Then he took the calf that they had made, and he burnt it with fire, and crushed it till it was fine, after which he scattered it upon the surface of the waters, and made the sons of Israel drink it. After that Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you, that you have brought a great sin upon it?" To this Aaron said, "Do not let the anger of my Lord blaze. You yourself well know the people, that they are evil inclined. So they said to me, 'Make for us a god who will go ahead of us, because as regards this Moses, the man who led us up out of the land of Egypt, we certainly do not know what has happened to him.' Hence I said to them, 'Who have any gold?' They must tear it off themselves, that they may give it to me. And I proceeded to throw it into the fire, and this calf came on out." And Moses got to see that the people went unrestrained, because Aaron had let them go unrestrained for a disgrace among their opposers. Then Moses took his stand in the gate of the camp and said, "Who is on Jehovah's side? To me." And all the sons of Levi began gathering themselves to him. He now said to them, "This is what Jehovah the God of Israel has said. Put each one of you his sword on his side. Pass through and return from gate to gate in the camp, and kill each one his brother, and each one his fellow, and each one his intimate acquaintance." And the sons of Levi proceeded to do as Moses had said, so that there fell of the people on that day about 3,000 men. And Moses went on to say, "Fill your hand today with power for Jehovah, because each one of you is against his own son and his own brother, and that he may confer blessing upon you today." And it came about on the very next day that Moses proceeded to say to the people, You have sinned with a great sin, and now I shall go up to Jehovah. Perhaps I can make amends for your sin." So Moses returned to Jehovah and said, But this people has sinned with a great sin, in that they made a god of gold for themselves. But now, if you will pardon their sin, and if not, wipe me out, please, from your book that you have written." However, Jehovah said to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I shall wipe him out of my book. And now, come, lead the people to where I have spoken to you of. Look, my angel will go ahead of you, and on the day of my bringing punishment I shall certainly bring punishment upon them for their sin." And Jehovah began plaguing the people because they had made the calf which Aaron had made. Chapter 33. And Jehovah said further to Moses, "Go, move up from here, you and the people whom you led up out of the land of Egypt, to the land about which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, To your seed I shall give it. And I will send an angel ahead of you, and drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. For I shall not go up in the midst of you, because you are a stiff-necked people, that I may not exterminate you on the way." When the people got to hear this evil word, they began to mourn, and none of them put his ornaments on himself. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "Say to the sons of Israel, You are a stiff-necked people. In one moment I could go up into the midst of you and certainly exterminate you. So now put down your ornaments off yourself, as I want to know what I am going to do to you." And the sons of Israel went stripping their ornaments off themselves from Mount Horeb onward. As for Moses, he proceeded to take his tent away, and he pitched it outside the camp, far away from the camp, and he called it a tent of meeting. And it occurred that everyone inquiring of Jehovah would go out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. And it occurred that as soon as Moses went out to the tent, all the people would rise, and they stationed themselves each one at the entrance of his own tent, and they gazed after Moses until he went into the tent. It also occurred that as soon as Moses had gone into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down, and it stood at the entrance of the tent, and he spoke with Moses. And all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, and all the people rose and bowed down, each one at the entrance of his own tent. And Jehovah spoke to Moses face to face, just as a man would speak to his fellow. When he returned to the camp, his minister Joshua, the son of Nun, as attendant, would not withdraw from the midst of the tent. Now Moses said to Jehovah, "See, you are saying to me, 'Lead this people up,' but you yourself have not let me know whom you will send with me. Moreover, you yourself have said, 'I do know you by name,' and besides, you have found favor in my eyes. And now, if, please, I have found favor in your eyes, make me know, please, your ways, that I may know you, in order that I may find favor in your eyes. And consider that this nation is your people." So he said, "My own person will go along, and I shall certainly give you rest." At this he said to him, "If your own person is not going along, do not lead us up from here. And by what, now, will it be known that I have found favor in your eyes, I and your people? Is it not by your going along with us, in that I and your people have been made distinct from all the other people who are upon the surface of the ground?" And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "This thing too, of which you have spoken, I shall do, because you have found favor in my eyes, and I know you by name." At this he said, "Cause me to see, please, your glory." But he said, "I myself shall cause all my goodness to pass before your face, and I will declare the name of Jehovah before you, and I will favor the one whom I may favor, and I will show mercy to the one to whom I may show mercy." And he added, "You are not able to see my face, because no man may see me and yet live." And Jehovah said further, "Here is a place with me, and you must station yourself upon the rock. And it has to occur that while my glory is passing by, I must place you in a hole in the rock, and I must put my palm over you as a screen until I have passed by. After that I must take my palm away, and you will indeed see my back, but my face may not be seen." Chapter 34. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Carve out for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I must write upon the tablets the words that appeared on the first tablets which you shattered. And get ready for the morning, as you must go up in the morning into Mount Sinai, and station yourself by me there on the top of the mountain. But nobody may go up with you, and 2, let nobody else be seen in all the mountain. What is more, no flock or herd should be pasturing in front of that mountain." Accordingly Moses carved out 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and got up early in the morning and went on up into Mount Sinai, just as Jehovah had commanded him, and he was taking the 2 tablets of stone in his hand. And Jehovah proceeded to come down in the cloud and station himself with him there, and declare the name of Jehovah. And Jehovah went passing by before his face, and declaring, "Jehovah, Jehovah, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness and truth, preserving loving kindness for thousands, pardoning error and transgression and sin. But by no means will he give exemption from punishment, bringing punishment for the error of fathers upon sons and upon grandsons, upon the 3rd generation and upon the 4th generation." Moses at once hurried to bow low to the earth and prostrate himself. Then he said, If now I have found favor in your eyes, O Jehovah, let Jehovah, please, go along in the midst of us, because it is a stiff-necked people, and you have to forgive our error and our sin, and you must take us as your possession." In turn he said, "Here I am concluding a covenant. Before all your people I shall do wonderful things that have never been created in all the earth or among all the nations, and all the people in the midst of whom you are will indeed see the work of Jehovah, because it is a fear-inspiring thing that I am doing with you. For your part, keep what I am commanding you today. Here I am driving out from before you the Amorites and the Canaanites, and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Watch yourself, that you do not conclude a covenant with the inhabitants of the land to which you are going, for fear it may prove itself a snare in your midst. But their altars you people are to pull down, and their sacred pillars you are to shatter, and their sacred poles you are to cut down. For you must not prostrate yourself to another god, because Jehovah, whose name is jealous, he is a jealous God, for fear that you may conclude a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, as they will certainly have immoral intercourse with their gods, and sacrifice to their gods, and someone will be certain to invite you, and you will certainly eat some of his sacrifice. Then you will have to take some of their daughters for your sons, and their daughters will be certain to have immoral intercourse with their gods, and make your sons have immoral intercourse with their gods. You must not make molten idol gods for yourself. The festival of unfermented cakes you are to keep. You will eat unfermented cakes just as I have commanded you, 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib, because it was in the month of Abib that you came out of Egypt. Everything that first opens the womb is mine, and as regards all your livestock, the male firstling of bull and of sheep. And the firstling of an ass you are to redeem with a sheep. But if you will not redeem it, then you must break its neck. Every firstborn of your sons you are to redeem, and they must not appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you are to labor, but on the 7th day you will keep Sabbath. In plowing time and in harvest you will keep Sabbath. And you will carry on your festival of weeks with the first ripe fruits of the wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times in the year every male of yours is to appear before the true Lord Jehovah, the God of Israel. For I shall drive the nations away from before you, and I will make your territory spacious, and nobody will desire your land while you are going up to see the face of Jehovah your God 3 times in the year. You must not slaughter along with what is leavened the blood of my sacrifice, and the sacrifice of the festival of the Passover should not stay overnight until the morning. The best of the first ripe fruits of your soil you are to bring to the house of Jehovah your God. You must not boil a kid in its mother's milk. And Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "Write down for yourself these words, because it is in accordance with these words that I do conclude a covenant with you and Israel." And he continued there with Jehovah 40 days and 40 nights. He ate no bread, and he drank no water. And he proceeded to write upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. Now it came about, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, that the 2 tablets of the testimony were in the hand of Moses when he came down from the mountain. And Moses did not know that the skin of his face emitted rays because of his having spoken with him. When Aaron and all the sons of Israel got to see Moses, why, look, the skin of his face emitted rays, and they grew afraid of coming near to him. And Moses proceeded to call them. So Aaron and all the chieftains among the assembly came back to him, and Moses began to speak to them. First, after that, all the sons of Israel came near to him, and he began commanding them all that Jehovah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. When Moses would finish speaking with them, he would put a veil over his face. But when Moses would go in before Jehovah to speak with him, he would take away the veil until his going out. And he went out and spoke to the sons of Israel what he would be commanded. And the sons of Israel saw Moses' face, that the skin of Moses' face emitted rays, and Moses put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with him. Chapter 35. Later Moses called the entire assembly of the sons of Israel together and said to them, "These are the words that Jehovah has commanded to do them. 6 days may work be done, but on the 7th day it will become something holy to you, a Sabbath of complete rest to Jehovah. Anybody doing work on it will be put to death. You must not light a fire in any of your dwelling places on the Sabbath day." And Moses went on to say to the entire assembly of the sons of Israel, "This is the word that Jehovah has commanded, saying, From among yourselves take up a contribution for Jehovah. Let every willing-hearted one bring it as Jehovah's contribution, namely, gold and silver and copper, and blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, and cocker scarlet material, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and sealskins and acacia wood, and oil for the luminary, and balsam oil for the anointing oil, and for the perfumed incense, and onyx stones, and setting stones for the ephod, and for the breastpiece. And let all the wise-hearted ones among you come, and make all that Jehovah has commanded, namely, the tabernacle with its tent and its covering, its hooks, and its panel frames, its bars, its pillars, and its socket pedestals, the ark and its poles, the cover, and the curtain of the screen, the table and its poles, and all its utensils, and the showbread, and the lampstand of illumination and its utensils, and its lamps and the oil for illumination, and the altar of incense and its poles, and the anointing oil and the perfumed incense, and the screen of the entrance for the tabernacle's entrance, the altar of burnt offering and the copper grating that is for it, its poles and all its utensils, the basin and its stand, the hangings of the courtyard, its pillars and its socket pedestals, and the screen of the gate of the courtyard, the tent pins of the tabernacle, and the tent pins of the courtyard and their cords, the garments of knitted work for ministering in the sanctuary, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons for acting as priests. Accordingly, all the assembly of the sons of Israel went out from before Moses. Then they came, every one whose heart impelled him, and they brought every one whose spirit incited him, Jehovah's contribution, for the work of the tent of meeting, and for all its service, and for the holy garments. And they kept coming, the men along with the women, every willing-hearted one. They brought brooches, and earrings, and rings, and female ornaments, all sorts of articles of gold, that is, everyone who presented the wave offering of gold to Jehovah. And all those with whom there were found blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, and cocker scarlet material, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and sealskins, brought them. All those contributing the contribution of silver and copper brought Jehovah's contribution, and all those with whom there was found acacia wood for all the work of the service brought it. And all the women who were wise of heart spun with their hands, and they kept bringing as yarn the blue thread and the wool dyed reddish purple, the cocker scarlet material, and the fine linen. And all the women whose hearts impelled them with wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the chieftains brought onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod and the breastpiece, and the balsam oil and the oil for illumination, and for the anointing oil, and for the perfumed incense. Every man and woman whose hearts incited them to bring something for all the work that Jehovah had commanded to make, by means of Moses, did so. The sons of Israel brought a voluntary offering to Jehovah. Then Moses said to the sons of Israel, "See, Jehovah has called by name Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah." And he proceeded to fill him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in every sort of craftsmanship, and for designing devices, for working in gold and silver and copper, and in working of stones to set them, and in working of wood to make ingenious products of every sort. And he has put it into his heart that he should teach, he and Oholiab the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with wisdom of heart to do all the work of a craftsman and an embroiderer, and of a weaver in blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, in copper scarlet material and fine linen, and of a loom worker, men doing every sort of work and designing devices. Chapter 36. And Bezalel must work, also Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man to whom Jehovah has given wisdom and understanding in these things, in order to know how to do all the work of the holy service, according to all that Jehovah has commanded. And Moses proceeded to call Bezalel and Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man, into whose heart Jehovah had put wisdom, every one whose heart impelled him to approach the work in order to do it. Then they took from before Moses all the contribution that the sons of Israel had brought for the work of the holy service, so as to do it. And as for the latter, they still brought to him a voluntary offering, morning after morning. And all the wise ones who were doing all the holy work began to come, one man after another, from their work that they were doing, and to say to Moses, "The people are bringing much more than what the service needs for the work that Jehovah has commanded to be done." So Moses commanded that they should cause an announcement to pass through the camp, saying, "Men and women, do not produce any more stuff for the holy contribution." With that, the people were restrained from bringing it in. And the stuff proved to be enough for all the work to be done, and more than enough. And all the wise-hearted among those doing the work went making the tabernacle, the 10 tent cloths of fine twisted linen and blue thread, and wool dyed reddish purple and copper scarlet material, with cherubs, the work of an embroiderer he made them. The length of each tent cloth was 28 cubits, and the width of each tent cloth 4 cubits. There was one measure for all the tent cloths. Then he joined 5 tent cloths one to another, and the 5 other tent cloths he joined one to another. After that, he made loops of blue thread upon the edge of the one tent cloth at the junction end. He did the same on the edge of the outermost tent cloth at the other place of junction. He made 50 loops on the one tent cloth, and he made 50 loops on the extremity of the tent cloth that was at the other place of junction, the loops being opposite one another. Finally, he made 50 hooks of gold, and joined the tent cloths to one another by the hooks, so that it became one tabernacle. And he went on to make tent cloths of goat's hair for the tent upon the tabernacle. 11 tent cloths were what he made. The length of each tent cloth was 30 cubits, and the width of each tent cloth 4 cubits. There was one measure for the 11 tent cloths. Then he joined 5 tent cloths together by themselves, and the 6 other tent cloths by themselves. Next, he made 50 loops upon the edge of the outermost tent cloth at the place of junction, and he made 50 loops upon the edge of the other tent cloth that joined with it. After that, he made 50 hooks of copper for joining the tent together to become one piece. And he proceeded to make a covering for the tent out of ram skins dyed red, and a covering out of seal skins up on top. Then he made the panel frames for the tabernacle out of acacia wood, standing on end. 10 cubits was the length of a panel frame, and 1 cubit and a half the width of each panel frame. Each panel frame had 2 tenons fitted one to the other. That is the way he did to all the panel frames of the tabernacle. So he made the panel frames for the tabernacle, 20 panel frames for the side toward the Negeb, to the south. And he made 40 socket pedestals of silver for beneath the 20 panel frames, 2 socket pedestals beneath the one panel frame with its 2 tenons, and 2 socket pedestals beneath the other panel frame with its 2 tenons. And for the other side of the tabernacle, the northern side, he made 20 panel frames, and their 40 socket pedestals of silver, 2 socket pedestals beneath the one panel frame, and 2 socket pedestals beneath the other panel frame. And for the rear sections of the tabernacle, to the west, he made 6 panel frames. And he made 2 panel frames as corner posts of the tabernacle on its 2 rear sections. And they proved to be duplicates at the bottom, and together they came to be twins to the top of each one at the first ring. That is what he did to them both, to the 2 corner posts. So they amounted to 8 panel frames, and their socket pedestals of silver to 16. 2 socket pedestals next to 2 socket pedestals beneath each panel frame. And he went on to make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the panel frames of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the panel frames of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the panel frames of the tabernacle for the 2 rear sections to the west. Then he made the middle bar to run through at the middle of the panel frames from one end to the other. And he overlaid the panel frames with gold, and he made their rings of gold as supports for the bars, and he went on to overlay the bars with gold. And he proceeded to make a curtain of blue thread and wool dyed reddish-purple and copper scarlet material and fine twisted linen. With the work of an embroiderer he made it, with cherubs. Then he made for it 4 acacia pillars, and overlaid them with gold, their pegs being of gold, and cast 4 socket pedestals of silver for them. And he went on to make a screen for the entrance of the tent out of blue thread, and wool-dyed reddish-purple, and copper scarlet material, and fine twisted linen, the work of a weaver, and its 5 pillars and their pegs. And he overlaid their tops and their joints with gold, but their 5 socket pedestals were of copper. Chapter 37. Bezalel now made the ark of acacia wood. 2 cubits and a half was its length, and 1 cubit and a half its width, and 1 cubit and a half its height. Then he overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a border of gold round about for it. After that, he cast 4 rings of gold for it, 4 above its 4 feet, with 2 rings on its one side, and 2 rings on its other side. He next made poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. Then he put the poles through the rings on the sides of the ark, for carrying the ark. And he went on to make the cover of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was its length, and 1 cubit and a half its width. He further made 2 cherubs of gold. Of hammered work he made them on both ends of the cover. 1 cherub was on the end over there, and the other cherub on the end over here. He made the cherubs on the cover on both of its ends. And they came to be cherubs spreading out 2 wings upward, screening over the cover with their wings, and their faces were one to the other. The faces of the cherubs proved to be toward the cover. And he proceeded to make the table of acacia wood. 2 cubits was its length, and 1 cubit its width, and 1 cubit and a half its height. Then he overlaid it with pure gold, and made a border of gold round about for it. Next, he made for it a rim of a handbreadth round about, and made a border of gold for its rim round about. Further, he cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were for the 4 feet. The rings proved to be near the rim as supports for the poles for carrying the table. Then he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold for carrying the table. After that, he made the utensils that are upon the table, its dishes, and its cups, and its bowls, and its pitchers, with which libations would be poured, out of pure gold. Then he made the lampstand of pure gold. Of hammered work he made the lampstand. Its sides and its branches, its cups, its knobs, and its blossoms proceeded out of it. And 6 branches were running out from its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out from its one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out from its other side. 3 cups shaped like flowers of almond were on the one set of branches, with knobs and blossoms alternating, and 3 cups shaped like flowers of almond were on the other set of branches, with knobs and blossoms alternating. That is the way it was for the 6 branches running out from the lampstand. And on the lampstand there were 4 cups shaped like flowers of almond, with its knobs and its blossoms alternating. And the knob under 2 branches was out of it, and the knob under 2 other branches was out of it, and the knob under 2 more branches was out of it, for the 6 branches running out from the lampstand. Their knobs and their branches proceeded out from it. All of it was one piece of hammered work of pure gold. Then he made its 7 lamps and its snuffers and its fire holders out of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold he made it, and all its utensils. He now made the altar of incense out of acacia wood. 1 cubit was its length, and 1 cubit its width, it being 4 square, and 2 cubits was its height. Its horns proceeded out of it. Then he overlaid it with pure gold, its top surface and its sides round about, and its horns, and he made a border of gold round about for it. And he made for it 2 rings of gold down below its border upon 2 of its sides, upon 2 opposite sides of it, as supports for the poles with which to carry it. After that he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. He made additionally the holy anointing oil, and the pure perfumed incense, the work of an ointment maker. Chapter 38. And he went on to make the altar of burnt offering out of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its width, it being 4 square, and 3 cubits was its height. Then he made its horns upon its 4 corners. Its horns proceeded out of it. Next he overlaid it with copper. After that he made all the utensils of the altar, the cans and the shovels and the bowls, the forks and the fire holders. All its utensils he made of copper. He further made for the altar a grating, a network of copper, under its rim down toward its center. Then he cast 4 rings on the 4 extremities near the grating of copper as supports for the poles. After that he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with copper. Then he put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar for carrying it with them. He made it a hollow chest of planks. Then he made the basin of copper, and its stand of copper, by the use of the mirrors of the women servants, who did organize service at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And he proceeded to make the courtyard. For the side toward the Negeb, to the south, the hangings of the courtyard were of fine twisted linen for 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars and their 20 socket pedestals were of copper. The pegs of the pillars and their joints were of silver. Also for the north side there were 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars and their 20 socket pedestals were of copper. The pegs of the pillars and their joints were of silver. But for the west side the hangings were for 50 cubits. Their pillars were 10, and their socket pedestals 10. The pegs of the pillars and their joints were of silver. And for the east side toward the sun rising there were 50 cubits. The hangings were for 15 cubits to the one wing. Their pillars were 3, and their socket pedestals 3. And for the other wing, on this as well as that side of the gate of the courtyard, the hangings were for 15 cubits. Their pillars were 3, and their socket pedestals 3. All the hangings of the courtyard round about were of fine twisted linen, and the socket pedestals for the pillars were of copper. The pegs of the pillars and their joints were of silver, and the overlaying of their tops was of silver, and there were silver joinings for all the pillars of the courtyard. And the screen of the gate of the courtyard was the work of a weaver, of blue thread and wool dyed reddish purple, and copper scarlet material and fine twisted linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height throughout its extent was 5 cubits, equally with the hangings of the courtyard. And their 4 pillars and their 4 socket pedestals were of copper. Their pegs were of silver, and the overlaying of their heads and their joints were of silver. And all the tent pins for the tabernacle and for the courtyard round about were of copper. The following are the things inventoried of the tabernacle of the testimony, which was inventoried at the command of Moses, as the service of the Levites under the guidance of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. And Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, did all that Jehovah had commanded Moses. And with him was Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman and embroiderer, and weaver in the blue thread and the wool-dyed reddish purple and copper scarlet material and fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work in all the work of the holy place came to the amount of the gold of the wave offering, 29 talents, and 730 shekels by the shekel of the holy place. And the silver of the ones registered of the assembly was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels by the shekel of the holy place. The half shekel for an individual was the half of a shekel by the shekel of the holy place, for every man who was passing over to those who were registered, from 20 years of age and upward, amounting to 603,550. And 100 talents of silver went into the casting of the socket pedestals of the holy place and the socket pedestals of the curtain. 100 socket pedestals equaled 100 talents, a talent to a socket pedestal. And out of the 1,775 shekels he made pegs for the pillars, and overlaid their tops, and joined them together. And the copper of the wave offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And with this he proceeded to make the socket pedestals of the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the copper altar and the copper grating that belonged to it, and all the utensils of the altar, and the socket pedestals of the courtyard round about, and the socket pedestals of the gate of the courtyard, and all the tent pins of the tabernacle, and all the tent pins of the courtyard round about. Chapter 39. And out of the blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and copper-scarlet material, they made garments of knitted work for ministering in the holy place. So they made the holy garments that were for Aaron, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Accordingly, he made the ephod of gold, blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and copper-scarlet material, and fine twisted linen. Then they beat plates of gold to thin sheets, and he cut out threads to work in among the blue thread, and the wool dyed reddish-purple, and the copper-scarlet material, and the fine linen, as the work of an embroiderer. They made shoulder pieces for it that were joined. It was joined at its two extremities. And the girdle, which was upon it for tying it close, was of the same material, according to its workmanship, of gold, blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and copper-scarlet material, and fine twisted linen, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Then they made the onyx stones set with settings of gold, engraved with the engravings of a seal according to the names of the sons of Israel. So he placed them upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Then he made the breastpiece with the workmanship of an embroiderer, like the workmanship of the ephod, out of gold, blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple, and copper-scarlet material, and fine twisted linen. It proved to be 4 square when doubled. They made the breastpiece, when doubled, a span of the hand in its length, and a span in its width. Then they filled it with 4 rows of stones. A row of ruby, topaz, and emerald was the first row, and the second row was turquoise, sapphire, and jasper. And the third row was leshem stone, agate, and amethyst. And the fourth row was chrysolite, and onyx, and jade. They were set with settings of gold in their fillings. And the stones were according to the names of the sons of Israel. They were 12 according to their names, with the engravings of a seal, each according to its name for the 12 tribes. And they proceeded to make upon the breastpiece wreathed chains, in rope work of pure gold. Then they made 2 settings of gold, and 2 rings of gold, and put the 2 rings upon the 2 extremities of the breastpiece. After that they put the 2 ropes of gold through the 2 rings at the extremities of the breastpiece, and they put the 2 ends of the 2 ropes through the 2 settings. Then they put them upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod, at the forefront of it. Next they made 2 rings of gold, and set them at the 2 extremities of the breastpiece upon its edge, that is, on the side toward the ephod, inward. Then they made 2 rings of gold, and put them upon the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod from below, on its forefront, near its place of joining, above the girdle of the ephod. Finally, they bound the breastpiece by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue string, that it might continue above the girdle of the ephod, and the breastpiece might not get displaced from on top the ephod, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Then he made the sleeveless coat of the ephod the workmanship of a loom worker, all of blue thread. And the opening of the sleeveless coat was in the middle of it, like the opening of a coat of mail. Its opening had a border round about that it might not be torn. Then they made upon the hem of the sleeveless coat pomegranates of blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple and copper-scarlet material twisted together. Further they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells in between the pomegranates upon the hem of the sleeveless coat round about, in between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the sleeveless coat round about, for ministering, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Next they made the robes of fine linen, the workmanship of a loom worker for Aaron and his sons, and the turban of fine linen, and the ornamental headgears of fine linen, and the linen drawers of fine twisted linen, and the sash of fine twisted linen, and blue thread, and wool dyed reddish-purple and cocker-scarlet material, the work of a weaver, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Finally, they made the shining plate, the holy sign of dedication out of pure gold, and inscribed upon it an inscription with the engravings of a seal, "Holiness belongs to Jehovah." Then they put a string of blue thread to it in order to put it upon the turban up above, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. So the work for the tabernacle of the tent of meeting all came to its completion, in that the sons of Israel kept doing according to all that Jehovah had commanded Moses. They did just so. And they proceeded to bring the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its utensils, its hooks, its panel frames, its bars and its pillars, and its socket pedestals, and its covering of ram skins dyed red, and its covering of sealskins, and the curtain of the screen, and the ark of the testimony and its poles, and the cover, the table, all its utensils and the showbread, the lampstand of pure gold, its lamps, the row of lamps, and all its utensils and the oil of illumination, and the altar of gold, and the anointing oil, and the perfumed incense, and the screen for the entrance of the tent, the altar of copper and the grating of copper that belonged to it, its poles and all its utensils, the basin and its stand, the hangings of the courtyard, its pillars and its socket pedestals, and the screen for the gate of the courtyard, its tent cords and its tent pins, and all the utensils for the service of the tabernacle, for the tent of meeting, the garments of knitted work for ministering in the sanctuary, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons for acting as priests. According to all that Jehovah had commanded Moses, that was the way the sons of Israel did all the service. And Moses got to see all the work, and look, they had done it just as Jehovah had commanded. That was the way they had done. Consequently, Moses blessed them. Chapter 40. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, On the day of the 1st month, on the 1st of the month, you are to set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and you must place the ark of the testimony in it, and shut off approach to the ark with the curtain. And you must bring the table in, and set its arrangement in order, and you must bring in the lampstand, and light up its lamps. And you must put the golden altar for incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the screen of the entrance for the tabernacle in place. And you must put the altar of burnt offering before the entrance of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And you must put the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. And you must place the courtyard round about, and put up the screen of the gate of the courtyard. And you must take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is in it. And you must sanctify it, and all its utensils, and so it must become something holy. And you must anoint the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils, and sanctify the altar, and so it must become a most holy altar. And you must anoint the basin and its stand, and sanctify it. Then you must bring Aaron and his sons near to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. And you must clothe Aaron with the holy garments, and anoint him and sanctify him, and so he must act as priest to me. After that you will bring his sons near, and you must clothe them with robes. And you must anoint them just as you anointed their father, and so they must act as priests to me, and their anointing must serve continually for them as a priesthood to time indefinite during their generations. And Moses proceeded to do according to all that Jehovah had commanded him. He did just so. Accordingly it came about that in the 1st month, in the 2nd year, on the 1st day of the month, the tabernacle was set up. When Moses proceeded to set up the tabernacle, he went putting its socket pedestals down, and placing its panel frames, and putting its bars in, and setting up its pillars. Then he spread out the tent over the tabernacle, and placed the covering of the tent above upon it, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. After that he took the testimony, and put it into the ark, and placed the poles on the ark, and put the cover above upon the ark. Then he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and put the curtain of the screen in place, and shut off approach to the ark of the testimony, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Next he put the table in the tent of meeting on the side of the tabernacle to the north outside the curtain, and he arranged the row of bread upon it before Jehovah, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Then he placed the lampstand in the tent of meeting in front of the table, on the side of the tabernacle to the south. He then lit up the lamps before Jehovah, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. He next placed the golden altar in the tent of meeting before the curtain, that he might make perfumed incense smoke upon it, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Finally, he put the screen of the entrance of the tabernacle in place. And he placed the altar of burnt offering at the entrance of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, that he might offer up the burnt offering and the grain offering upon it, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Then he placed the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it for washing. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet at it. When they went into the tent of meeting, and when they went near to the altar, they would wash, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. Finally he set up the courtyard round about the tabernacle and the altar, and put up the screen of the gate of the courtyard. So Moses finished the work, and the cloud began to cover the tent of meeting, and Jehovah's glory filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to go into the tent of meeting, because the cloud resided over it, and Jehovah's glory filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud lifted itself up from over the tabernacle, the sons of Israel would break camp during all their stages of journey. However, if the cloud did not lift itself up, then they would not break camp until the day when it lifted itself up. For Jehovah's cloud was over the tabernacle by day, and a fire continued upon it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel during all their stages of journey.